A little nervous. I've never actually done a live YouTube event. Most of you can't even see this right now. This is just going to be for the re-recording that's going to show up later since I have this set to be archived. And I'm going to be taking questions after I post a link to this in YouTube, which it should have a built-in chat. And let's see. Boom. There I am live. And there's the chat. Okay. Let's post this and start fielding questions while I keep updating what's going on in the group. Sorry if I look like crap. I've been up for like pretty much 2 days hosting this whole event and doing it all, which has been fun and really intense, but you know, it was worth it. A lot of authors got a lot out of it. We had over 600, I think up to 98, yeah, 698 unique different visitors. Not all of them interacted by clicking and everything. Most of them lurked, which I get because it's a new author event. You don't know everybody. Some people are being shy, but they checked out links and Facebook tracked them coming in, which was pretty cool. Some authors had record site visits for their month over time. Some authors increased their mailing list by a lot. Yeah, I've had a lot of great sales. I know everyone else has, so I'm open to questions. And while that happens, I'm pretty much going to be talking about myself and my works now. So let's start with that. Pretty much most everyone here already sort of knows me, and the place they know me from is my indie author career, which starts with this guy right here. Grave Beginnings. This was my paranormal fantasy, urban fantasy novel that I wrote back in 2013. I got it published that Christmas, and it sort of sat around for a while. It didn't do amazing, and you know, being perfectly honest, it took a while. It went through the end of 2013, got a couple of reviews, went through 2014, started picking up. Originally, it had a different cover, so I had to get a new cover artist, and the amazing Sarah Anderson made this. She's been through the blog, and I'm going to be able to share some stuff with her. After she did that, it went on to get picked up by a reviewer called A Drop of Ink Reviews. What they did is they reviewed it, they loved it, and at the end of 2015, which is when they actually got their hands on it, they awarded it Best Book of 2015, which really helped my career, and it blew this up, and it blew up the series, which helped me get, you know, more, I guess, positive about my writing. I still struggle with that. I think we all do at some point. And it helped me get the second book out, which is this guy right here, which some of you already seen, Grave Measures. This pretty much picks up about 6 months after the first novel leaves off, and where all the characters and everything are after that. And this novel is currently nominated, I think, yeah, in DragonCon, for DragonCon Award for the best paranormal fantasy novel. It's lumped under the fantasy genre, so we'll see. Right now, it's just been nominated. I don't know if I'm going to make a finalist panel. I can hope. But that's book 2. Other places you guys might know me from are this right here, The Longest Night's Watch. I actually happen to have my name on the cover. If I can, there we go. Right there. I have a short story in here, which was sort of, it was to honor Terry Pratchett, which was what the whole point of this was. It's for charity and Alzheimer's Association to help fund that. And my short story is called Chance Fortunes, and it sort of follows in the line of his famous character Rincewind, this horrible wizard. My idea was to sort of take that and play it up more with magic, and I created essentially the Wizard of Misfortune. Chance Fortunes, everywhere he goes, his magic lashes out to everyone, including himself, especially himself, and he brings bad luck for everybody. That's his whole thing. Actually, another one of these is coming out in September, I hope, or October. And I have 2 more short stories set in that same comedic fantasy world coming out. And most recently, I was very blessed and fortunate to be a part of this, which was dedicated to Alan Rickman and David Bowie, and it is called Stardust Always. The cover was done by the amazing James Baldwin, who actually hosted an hour in the author takeover we did today. And this is pretty much all sorts of stories that reference either David Bowie, Alan Rickman, or involve cancer in some way. And this goes to St. Jude's Children's Hospital for Cancer Research and Treatment. So if any of you are seeing this, please consider getting this or the other one I showed, the Alzheimer's one, because both the ebook and the print book both send their funds to charity through the publisher Writers Colony Press. So yeah, that's pretty much short, quick bit about me. Like I said, I'm open to questions both in here and on YouTube, because there's a chat bar if you look in the top right of YouTube where somebody did ask something. And yeah, open to questions beyond the color of my eyes right now, which I blame my mother for. She's not awake right now, so it's okay. Wow, people are actually liking the cover. Yay. So like I said, I'm pretty much open to anything authory, writing stuff up here. I was gonna share some marketing things. Obviously, the event has gone over really well. Um, Holy crap, there's a lot of questions going on in here. I guess I'll start answering them. For anyone watching this who is not there and here, I will say yes, the pennies are relevant to the cover for my new novel, which I'm showing off in here, called Dangerous Ways. Eventually, as the novel gets closer to publication, I'm going to start opening and reading up bits of it and sharing chapters, so within the first chapter you'll see they're relevant. They are an important theme throughout it. Wowie. I did not expect this kind of turnout, to be honest. I am really happy. And thank you. Wow, I'm kind of a little embarrassed. This is like my first live event, so I'm gonna take a sip and try to be cool. For the series, I am hoping to be able to squeeze out 5. I have 3 that I know of, but each novel is so big, and the purpose of this is to flesh out a world that some people are already familiar with, which is the Grave Report world. I haven't really hid the fact that this takes place in that world. It is part of it. It takes place maybe a year after Grave Beginnings. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know I wrote it in the book, and it does match up, so there is no discrepancy or plot holes. The stick of appreciation. Yeah, it takes place in the same world, and the whole point of it is to flesh that world out because of the fact that some of you know Vincent Graves has a very short timeline. He lives by the hour, so because of that, he doesn't get to take time to go here and go there and show this paranormal universe that I'm trying to create that does have courts. It has its own internal political system. It has its own monarchies. It has its own monetary systems of barter, trade, small like baronies and dukedoms, and conglomerates of paranormal creatures that hopefully I've been able to put my own creative spin on. And because Graves is always pressed for time, he doesn't get to show this off. And I have 8 series actually planned in the same universe, so I do want to share that. The series will be coming out in December this year, hopefully December 14th. It actually goes out to beta readers tomorrow. A few have already gotten their hands on it. The cover obviously is already done. I'm going to be sending it to ARC reviewers hopefully October. I should be getting it back from betas by mid-September, meaning I'll be done with edits by the end of October. Back to my editor and copy editor, grinding through October, November, and then all I'll have to do is push a button in December and hopefully launch a crazy thunderclap. Bear with me a minute. I'm going to upload another photo and keep trying to talk and balance this all out. I actually need to pull up the synopsis, which I do have saved, so you guys actually know what's going to be happening in this world, and I'll copy and paste that and put that in. But like I said, I'll still be fielding questions. Talking about marketing stuff, see if I can pull up this link. One thing that I've personally done that I do know works really well, and I actually like for marketing, is trying to create personalized swag. And this is something that's open to everybody here. My mentor and great friend Jim Hurd actually makes these. He is the creator of PB Engineering. And, yeah, there's a glare, of course. These are actually laser-etched glasses that, this one actually is Clockwork Lives, based off the Kevin J. Anderson novel that he wrote with Neil Peart. You can see it's a full etch. This will never fade. The glass is tempered. These are really cool and collectible, and he does take custom orders. I'm actually going to link his Etsy shop right now in there because it's something that I think every author should consider. At the very least, it's like what I talked about yesterday in my the first post I did, where I was talking about creating author swag not just to sell, but for yourself, to keep you motivated. Seeing tangible the results of your writing, it is great. It's nice to have. It's kind of cool. Like, I'm actually drinking literally out of the Grave Beginnings glass. I'll be able to post a picture of it right now. I've just got black cherry seltzer water in it because I'm lame and I don't drink adulty drinks. But I think without the condensation, you can see Grave Beginnings, and essentially it is my... Get the foggy off? Okay, now. But yeah, it's pretty much my cover on a glass, and that does make me feel good. It makes me feel like, you know, I did do something tangible. And holding the book is cool, but seeing other stuff from it is kind of cooler. So I'm going to be posting the link right now in there to where you guys can go and get your own glasses made. If you have the designs, he can make them. The orders are up there. He's done Marvel stuff for New York Times best-selling authors, stuff for Rush, Iron Maiden, Lotus, Lamborghini. There really isn't anything he hasn't done. And now I've got the synopsis, thank God, because kind of embarrassing thing, I lost it. I am very afraid to admit that, but I deleted my own synopsis by accident. So I'm going to post that one next to share with everybody. Wow, I'm getting a lot of turnout for this. More embarrassment. Take another sip. Let's see what other questions we've got. Okay, yeah. Alright, I will upload another photo. Okay, now I think people are just trying to embarrass me and turn me red, so I will try to play it cool. Try being the operative word. Alright, I'm going to pin up the synopsis right now for everybody with 2 different variations of the book. Sarah was kind enough to make this really cool snazzy 3D book effect with the cover, so I'll be posting that up there with that, and let's just see. Okay, now I think people are just trying to embarrass me and turn me red, so. Alright, and boom. There's the synopsis up there. You guys can all see that. Does anyone have any authoring questions for me? Anything about writing, marketing? I remember Becca Bates, I don't know if she was watching this, she kind of wanted to ask some things. And since it's live right now, best time. I don't think I could do the Palpatine voice. I think I'd hurt my throat. I have a very 14-year-old prepubescent voice that's not made to do harsh and scary voices. I'm a dork. Does anyone have any authoring? It's so odd seeing the cast back because I put a delay on this so anybody can watch this without lag and they can rewind and fast forward and it's gonna be recorded on DVR. But I don't think. Do I have a set of 4 for the glasses? Oh, you can order a set of 4. I don't actually have any on me. The one I have is a one-off, and I gave the rest away because that's what you do with these things. I didn't know why I needed like 8 grade beginnings glasses. How I broke into the con scene. I've already been going to cons for a while, but before I'd never really had the confidence to do anything. 2 years of being indie makes you really hardcore with guerrilla marketing, and I finally got to the point, thanks to nanos like everybody you guys watching, pushing me to start selling my book for more and taking some level of confidence and pride in it, that I started bringing these things to conventions. Like I'd bring a book or 2 to hand out and sign. I'd bring my bookmarks just to hand out to anybody, and eventually it started taking off to the point where when I was more confident bumping into people and more proactive and not shy about talking about my books, which opened up the opportunities for people to want to do things with it. It's the whole illusion that when you're shy and you're kind of afraid of your writing, people pick up on that. But when you're proud of it, without being arrogant, which you can do, people want to help you. It's the whole proof of the NaNoWriMo group and why I'm trying to always give back and do the motivational videos, because people do want to help you. A lot of times it doesn't even cost them that much, or it doesn't cost anything. The emotional support for a lot of authors, I feel, is the biggest part of that, because otherwise, with me, I struggle with a lot of depression. I would have quit a long time ago if I didn't have NaNoWriMo and a lot of the friends I've made through there. For how many books I'd like to release a year, I'd like to release 3 or 4, like Stephen King, but realistically, maybe 2. Optimistically, I know I can do 1 a year. I'd love to do 2 to 3. How many hours I write a day? It's 3 to 4. I'd like to be able to do 1 to 2. When I'm going, I have been able to hit 2,000 words, which is my daily word count that I go for, and I stop there. I've been able to do it in 45 minutes on some days when I'm really just in it. At the moment, since I started writing the 3rd book in the Grade Report, it's been more 3 to 4 hours because I've been doing sprints now, which, while it takes longer, it's more reliable to make sure at least I hit the word count every day. How do I find out about conventions? Honestly, I'm limited to what I can do. My area happens to have 3 or 4 in the Washington, D.C. area between Virginia and Baltimore, and there are 3 really famous ones, and those are the 3 I keep hitting. I haven't actually gone out to new conventions yet. I'm not going to be going to Dragon Con. I wish I could, but honestly, the next convention I'll be going to will probably be Otakon or Katsucon in Baltimore later this year and earlier next year. And those are anime conventions, so I'm not going to be going there to market myself. Honestly, I'm going to go there to market another nano named Brandon Varnell, who writes fan service based anime books, which I actually happen to have, I think, somewhere here. If I can find them, I'm gonna be really embarrassed if I can't, because I'll look like an idiot. Give me 1 second. Aha. Yay. These are Brandon's books. The American Kitsune novels, which are pretty much ecchi anime. They make fun of, the whole fan service industry about anime. That's book one, actually. The first one I showed was book two. That's book two. And then this is book three, and he recently released book four. And that's the one reason I'm going to go to Katsucon. I do believe that when you're doing cons, that you should try to go to specific ones that would cater to your genre, especially books. Like I said, Katsu and anime cons are actually horrible to go to market your books. They really are, unless you happen to write what Brandon does. There aren't a lot of heavy readers there. I'm not saying anime fans don't read, but you can't, with any accuracy, guess what they do read. So if you go there trying to pitch a certain genre, it might fall flat. Whereas the ones I attend here in DC, like AwesomeCon, are primarily video games and geek culture. So that's kind of the perfect mix, because right now urban fantasy is really hot. It's supernatural. It is geek culture. Fantasy's always been geek culture. Sci-fi's always been geek culture. You're gonna find people like that. They get actors from geek TV shows, like sci-fi and fantasy shows. Just this year, Timothy Zahn was there. They had some really big New York Times best-selling authors. So I always think try to find the right cons for you like that. Don't just try to hit any. They're fun. If you want to do them for fun. But if you're trying to go for marketing, take into consideration what they do. Like, later this year, music and gaming festival's happening. I'm not going to go there, and I'm not going to try to market my books there. But Dragon Con's happening in September, so if anyone is, in that area, that's something you might want to think about. There's going to be a lot of New York Times bestsellers there because Dragon Con is hosting an award. They're very prestigious. They do cater to a lot of big authors. They have a huge turnout, 90,000 people? I know Kevin J. Anderson is going to be there with his publishing company, Wordfire Press, with a host full of authors. New York Times bestseller Brandon Sanderson, Dan Wells, Patricia Briggs, his wife Rebecca Musta, who's also an author in the Star Wars genre, and she has her own works. Kevin J. Anderson, like I said himself, R.J. Terrell. There's going to be endless authors there. No cosplay. I don't think I have the looks to cosplay anybody. See if I can scroll. What do you stop at 2,000 words, or do you keep going within the zone? Oh, what I actually do is, because I know I can burn out, after 2,000, since I am a pantser, what I will do is take a few notes in a separate Word program, just what I was thinking about writing next, and leaving it at that, so at least I can pick up tomorrow and pants right from there. Go, this is supposed to happen, blah 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 scene, insert witty remark, horrible smartass joke, monster attacks and screaming, and then I go, okay, I will pick up from there. 2,000 words a day is what I write. Any advice for shy people in the audience who might need to sell? How do you get over the fear of people? A lot of my marketing stuff is social media, and I am afraid of people, but at the same time, I'm learning that people do want to help you. And again, it goes back to trying to find the right audience. If you market towards people who are already receptive to it, it's going to be fun. They want you to talk about your book. That's why I did this author event. A lot of you guys who showed up here, for some of you, it was your first time. And that's a fantastic way to break out of the shell. You guys got to host. E.A. Copen, you got to host, and people loved you. You did absolutely great. I know this was your first event like that, but honestly, that's all it really takes. Going to a con is just nothing more different like this. It's, this is kind of like an indie digital con that we just had here. That's really all there is to it. You just mention the fact you're an author, and if someone seems receptive to it, just go for it. They want to hear about it. Talk about it. You don't have to bash them over the head. It can be back and forth, but I found that we're surrounded by so many authors that it kind of feels so, I guess, just it's not normal for us to talk about it. We think that everybody's an author because we're surrounded by it, but in a world of 7 billion people, it's still rare. Like, if you go out in the street and meet somebody and it does come up that you're an author, a lot of people are going to go, that's pretty cool. And when they ask you what you're writing, if you mention you've already done it and you publish something, that's even more impressive. They want to hear. They'll tell their friends that they met a real author. It doesn't matter if you're Stephen King or if you're an indie starting out. For them, that's somebody who completed a book and, you finished it, you got it out there. And they got to meet somebody who did that, because it's one of those things that people talk about, it's like a bucket list item, but we get to do it, and we do it all the time. some people want to be in a movie or they want to film it. They want to go somewhere. So everyone has that whole, I want to get that novel out. A lot of us are doing it and we've done it, so people like talking about it. I get being shy, I do, and it's one of the reasons I said, like, find somewhere or find something you're comfortable indulging in where you can bring in your books. It doesn't have to be a book related event. I'm a huge video gamer, so in my spare time I do try to play, and I go online and I'm comfortable playing with friends and other people. And when we meet new people, obviously, that conversation comes up like, hey, good game, what do you do, who are you? And I'll find a way to talk about, hey, I'm an author. That's what I do. What's behind the flags? Behind the flags is two bookshelves sort of under construction. I can sort of tilt this to show one that I just built and put in the corner because I'm running out of room. You can see the big metal bookshelf that I pretty much drilled into the wall with studs that's just hanging there. I'm still filling it. There's the bigger bookshelf over there. And then behind the banners is another bookshelf. And they're all disorganized and messy because I have ADHD and I can't organize stuff. And I'm trying. But it's so distracting. And I'm just making excuses, but yeah. Sorry, I'm responding to somebody. But wow, the blurb's actually receiving a lot of attention too. I didn't expect that. Character inspiration for I guess I'll start with Vincent Graves. So everyone has those authors they read growing up. And for me, it was I grew up with a lot of Han Solo, who is the original kind of oh, you can't see me. What did I do? What did I do? I think you guys can still see me, right? Character inspiration for. I'll give it a minute to make sure you guys can. I'm seeing myself in the camera flashback, so. But yeah, I grew up with a lot of Han Solo, who was the original witty, smuggler, and from that it progressed to Spider-Man comics, and eventually. I grew up with Harry Potter like everybody else. That's what's introduced me to urban fantasy. But as I matured, I started reading the Hellblazer comics, which were really dark and gritty, and Constantine is a huge smartass. And then I bumped into Harry Dresden, and this is after reading Spider-Man, so the Dresden Files and Constantine really colored a lot of my personality. And because I have depression, a lot of stuff does get repressed and built up in me, and a lot of that is smartassery. So I knew when I was going to start writing that a lot of thank you for saying that you see Constantine in my works. I knew when I was going to write I had a lot to get out of me, and it's stuff I've talked about in the NaNoWriMo group about being honest and like sort of bleeding through your work, and a lot of that is smart assery. So I sort of let it go in there, and it does make me feel better. I get to let out a lot of repressed stuff, anger, witticisms, just maybe jokes I'm gonna have in my mind, and that's what colored Graves. But the thing I've always found sort of personal here, appealing in other characters is really strong, confident characters to balance Graves, because if you read the novels, even though he comes off arrogant and strong at times, he's not always confident because he's fighting out of his weight class. He's trying to be confident for other people because he has to sound like he has a plan. But the person who is confident is his counterbalance, Camilla Ortiz, which by the end of the first novel, and for those of you who read the second, you see he starts upping his game because of her, because seeing someone so strong and confident go through these things that he has to, and then seeing her slip up because she's new to this world, it hurts him a lot, because he should be the one stepping up because he knows the world, so he's pushing himself to sort of become better. And that's kind of an analog to a lot of stuff in my life, because I've gone through a lot. When I was 18 I tried to commit suicide, so it's why you see in the Grave Report novels you see a lot of the stuff about perseverance, and a lot of my philosophy come through, because I've gone through a lot in that, and I do believe in the whole idea that sometimes, yeah, there's going to be a lot of monsters and bad stuff in the world, but you're going to get knocked down, but it's okay, because everybody gets knocked down. The point is getting back up, which is what colors Graves and Ortiz. Ortiz is a normal person, but she has like that iron strength and confidence, and she's always up. Vincent is the opposite. He's a paranormal punching bag. I literally created a character made to get beaten up, but his superpower is he comes back. He's literally, rubber. The whole I'm rubber, you're glue, anything that bounces off me, it sticks to you. He's the rubber. He gets beaten up, he gets his ass kicked, but he gets back up. He can take the hits. He's not strong. He doesn't shoot fire like Harry Dresden. He doesn't even have a weapon. He can't predict for that. He's just thrown into a new body and he has to go. But that created that. Other characters, Church. Church is the other. Of course, when I say Church, Team Church pops up. Church is the counterbalance to Vincent's smartass because Ortiz keeps him in line by not taking his crap and just being tough. Church is sort of the one who can kind of one up Vincent, and he does it, with dry wit. And the reason I do that is when I come up with a lot of his lines on the fly, I can't help but be a smartass to myself. So it's like, if I said this, well, what would somebody say who was, wittier than me to put me in my place and make me go like, okay, I should shut up now and go do some work. And that's where Church comes in. Now, I already know who he is. I've had people try to guess. Please stop guessing. Everyone's been way off the mark. No one's been close. I will say that much, so you can stop. I know his whole story, but he is really important, and he does care about Vincent, which you've seen in the novels, but he's under a lot of pressure like Vincent, and Vincent is sort of his only tool to get this job done. It's kind of been hinted at in the first novel that he has, he can't get involved as much as he likes to. And Vincent's kind of his way around that. Biggest influence on my writing has been definitely Jim Butcher, Constantine Comics, and a Russian author who's not really well known, which I have the books for, I can grab them. His name is Alexei Pihov. He wrote, essentially, if Harry Dresden was a rogue in a Russian fantasy medieval world with dark elves and everything is dark, and kind of like Lord Voldemort is coming back and we have to go grab a magical rainbow horn to stop Lord Voldemort. I know it's weird, but it's really good. It's written in first person, and this thief is pretty much given an ultimatum like, we don't care who you are. You can either go to jail for the rest of your life, where we know you're going to die because it's a horrible jail. It's meant for you to die in. Or you can go on a suicide mission. And that's kind of what the Grave Report is. It's, Vincent, you've got, 13 hours in this body. You're going to get pulled out and thrown over again. If you die, you're dead. Your soul never comes back. And you're going to be fighting horrible odds, and you might die anyway. And I'll get the book since people are asking for the titles. Wow, I'm stacking up a lot of books on my shelf. Okay, the first one is called Shadow Prowler, which I happen to have in hardback. To ruin my collection, mass market paperback, Shadow Chaser. And the last one, Shadow Blizzard. They're all put out by Tor or Tor. I actually never heard how to say that because I've never heard it out loud. They're the same people, I think, who published George R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson, and obviously the great Robert Jordan. I had to look at my shelf because every publisher at a distance has just little symbols and I can't pick them out. I had to look for letters. Sue me. So yeah, that's everyone who's influenced my writing. As I'm still reading, I'm growing. I got into Patricia Briggs a little while ago. I knew who she was, I just never had time to get into her because one of my personal rituals is going back every year and rereading the Dresden Files because it's kind of like my comfort series. I learned so much as he's progressed through how to narrate first-person voice from the first book, which I admittedly have some weaknesses. I don't know if I should be pointing them out. It's a bad author form, but one of the things I like doing is showing that, we're all just still learning. Other New York Times bestsellers have done this, so I'll balance it out by saying that. But I use a lot of adverbs. I say, I said sarcastically. It's really easy, people get it, but it's also bad form. I've gotten to a point now where I can say things, like her voice could have stripped paint off a car. You get it. It's really acidic and caustic. It has more of an impact and image than just saying sarcastically. I didn't know how to do that 3 years ago. I was just, Grave Beginnings was the first novel that I published. It wasn't the first that I wrote, but I was still cutting my teeth, and it's why I read the Dresden Files a lot, because it's analogous to the way I started wanting to write, and I can see how he progressed and where he went and try emulating some of those things in my own writing. It's working. Obviously, I try to branch out. My to-be-read pile, like every author, is now like 500 books larger, literally, which is why, as I showed you, there's a new shelf drilled into the wall that's all empty, because I have to move books over there that now I plan to read, that I have already, not including ebooks. As Aaron, who's in here, sees, I have God, I think I have 126,000 pages of comics, actual individual comic pages because they're ebooks. I get my comics in e because it's easier to collect. But yeah, I have over 100,000 pages to read just in comic books alone. So, uh, what influences you the most? I mean, what books make you think? Oh, think? You'd be really surprised. A lot of the stuff that comes into the Grave Report comes from mythology, lore, and fables. I put a lot of philosophy into my books because, as I said, I do think a lot about that because it's personal stuff in my life that I've been trying to overcome and I'm trying to get better. I read a lot of self help and motivational stuff and philosophy, and because of all of that, that's where I color in the deeper inner monologues with Vincent Graves, where he's up against a really bad whatever monster I choose to put in, and there's the whole scene of I don't know if I can do this, but even if I can't, I don't really have a choice because if I don't, other people are going to get hurt. It's my responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. And if someone gets to have, well, someone has to get hurt, it has to be me. So it's stuff like that. I meditate, so I'll put that out there. I know that's a really weird thing to bring into an author thing, but I do a lot of self reflection, which is where I come up with a lot of these philosophical things that I pepper my works with. The Books of Winter, which you'll see, will have that because my main character, which I can reveal because I'm going to start leaking chapters pretty soon, he's 184 years old. He's a member of something called the Timeless, which is in the Grey Report world. These are people, normal human beings like you and I, who are offered a chance to stand outside of the effects of time. Now, what happens is normally these people have gone through something really bad in their life. In his case, he fought in something that I'm not gonna, that's a little too much character reveal, but he was almost killed, and someone offered him a chance to step outside of time, essentially stop aging. And the one catch is that you're no longer allowed to interfere in the mortal or paranormal world without permission. You're sort of a chronicler. Your job is, now that you're mortal, you get to see history unfold. Don't step in and mess with it. And the main character has collected a lot of philosophy over that time. He's lived a long time. The big issue is he's also screwed up twice and gotten involved in human events on a massive scale. And the book starts with him getting involved with his third one on his way to trial. If you screwed up once, you sort of get a slap on the wrist. If you screw up twice, you have to come explain yourself. And he screwed up twice. So he's on his way to explain himself to a big trial in New York among, ageless beings who have lived thousands of years. And he bumps into somebody and gets involved for the third time. So he gets moved up from, you're no longer on trial, you're now in execution row. So he has to go on the run from his own people, and as in the blurb, paranormal forces chasing a young woman named Cassidy Winters. And this is going to show a lot more of stuff that, for those of you who have read Grave Measures, you know that the human side of the world is not the only side now. You know that there's other things going on in other places. And the way I described it there is that each place is separate, yet part of a larger whole. This is a series that's going to explain how that magic works, and the one person they found who happens to break all those rules. And it's going to show the entire, I guess, political system of the other side of the world. How fractured it is, how much is going on. Like I said, I learned a lot from Dresden Files and Constantine. There's a whole other universe in this world that has its own rules, and they're really interested in the mortal side of things. And this is just book one of that. Book 3 in the Grave Report, which I am writing right now, will show a little bit more of that while still progressing Vincent's plot. The way the Grave Report works, and I hope this helps people since I pants, is the main story is never what's on the blurb. Each Grave Report novel can be read independently. It's a Monsters of the Week, it's a detective noir thriller like Persons of Interest meets Dresden Files. That's not the main story, though. That's just the fun, this is a new monster, I get to investigate and hunt and have fun. The real story is the subplot here that's building up over the books. Vincent's case to find his, missing identity. Why does Ortiz keep showing back up at times? The other characters he's meeting, what's going on with his body, what's going on with Church. So it's the opposite. The end of each novel happens, him killing a monster and he saves the day. That's the fun draw, but it's kind of reversed in this series. Every novel doesn't lead up to something. Every lead up is actually the small subplot stuff I've been peppering, and that's the real series. And it's kind of done in reverse, because a lot of fantasy novels, the subplot develops characters and stuff, but the end of the first book, we save the world, and somebody's left over and they're going to start a second war or something. Or in the case of the Lord of the Rings, it's just progressing one point to the next point until they can finally defeat Sauron. And the Grey Report, it's the opposite. Every book ends itself. And if you want to stick around for the ride, you've got to pay attention to the small stuff. If you weren't a writer, what would you be doing? Oh, God. I don't know. it's gonna sound corny, but I do believe a lot in stuff like choosing your own fate and sometimes being, I guess, set up for it. Because I started college when I was age 18. I got into a prestigious Ivy League college here in DC. And when I saw the rates, I couldn't afford it, so I went to community college, and I was just bumbling around trying to figure out my life. But the summer before I actually started college, when I graduated high school, I wrote my first novel, which I don't know if I can say what author inspired me to write it because it's not a good inspiration. It's the whole, Stephen King has said this, that everyone at one point reads an author and you go like, how did this get published? I can do better than this. For me, it was, well, an author killed off a bunch of my favorite characters. And it's not George R. R. Martin. It's not that. It's a fantasy series that's been going on for a long time, and this author just went, 500 years have passed, everyone's dead but the main character. And I got mad, and I wanted to write my own, and that's what made me be an author. I can't think of my life without it. I went the automotive route. I've done building gaming computers. I've done like every sort of day job, and I've still never found something that makes me happy. This is what makes me happy. Do I have a dream cast for the Grey Report characters in the case of a TV series? Yes. The one thing I think I'd love to see is no set actor for Graves because he changes bodies every day or every case. So that'd be cool from everyone's perspective. For the audience, you get to see a new actor. For let's say if Netflix picked it up, they wouldn't have to commit to one actor, meaning they could give new actors a shot each time, and no actor would have to commit to a TV show they might not want to commit to. They could do an episode, build credits, bounce out, maybe get a better acting career somewhere. They could start off in the Grey Report. I'd like someone like John Tenney or Nathan Fillion to voice him, or Ryan Reynolds. I think that would be cool if they did a TV show where somebody plays his body and lip syncs it to somebody else doing his voice and his inner monologue especially. Camilla Ortiz, Rosario Dawson, I forget the actress who plays Joe Lupo in Eureka. She could do it. Somebody did fan art, which I actually have a post in here. And I'll post the fan art and see what you all think, because it kind of looked like Penelope Cruz. TV show where somebody plays to somebody else doing his voice and his inner monologue. Let's see. Camilla Ortiz, Rosario Dawson. Unfortunately, the book is not going to be up for pre-order yet. Like I said, I'm still. Oh my god, my Facebook's blowing up. It's not going to be up for pre-order for a while because I don't know what Amazon's pre-order rules are right now. After I did Grave Measures, I think they changed it because at one point somebody released a pre-order that I know, and it gave a sample, and I don't want that right now because the book's still in ARC being edited. So if I could find a way to do it without a sample being leaked, I'll put it up for pre-order so at least people can go there and check it out and have it ready for day one launch. Right now what I plan is maybe next month leaking an admittedly unedited chapter so people can at least just get the idea. Chapter 1 and then chapter 2. Oh, you can't see me. What happened? And no, okay, I'm still alive. That's weird. I don't know how to explain that. Oh right, I have to post fan art. Here we go. Boom. Boom. I do a lot of weird funny sounds, I'm sorry. I talk to myself, I'll admit that. Whenever I come up with Graves' funniest lines, I actually say them aloud, and I have a back and forth with myself, and now y'all think I'm crazy. You know what? I write a paranormal detective series, so I guess crazy is implied. But yeah, I do a lot of external dialogue stuff. I do Church's voice. I do Vincent's voice. I don't do Ortiz's voice because that would just be really weird. But yeah, I did do Lizzie's voice, which that was weird too. But yeah, it's just another little weird tidbit of me. I like acting that all out, and it's fun. I actually act out my own fight scenes, which I guess that's embarrassing to admit, but I do. I have a. I'm not gonna do the Ortiz voice. I said I don't do it. I don't do it, so because I can't. But I will say she's in New York and she's a Latino origin, so you can pretty much guess she's Puerto Rican. I'm gonna go into her backstory, and I will admit, after I finish the third Grey Report novel and it comes out, I am gonna be releasing short stories and writing them. Do you have any advice for people who want to make videos? You seem to do a lot of them, and you do them really well. It helps me get a lot of my ideas out and reach to people in an interesting way. I have a nice 1080p webcam right now that I'm using, and the software I'm using to stream live to YouTube is called OBS. It's free. You can download it. YouTube has a million guides on how to use it. Like I said, it costs nothing. You can adjust it. One thing I did learn from a friend who's actually studying cinematography and stuff at Berkeley, and he does a lot of small indie movie stuff, is how do you frame up a shot for this, and that kind of helps. One of the things is I have my webcam set up so you can't see the door, banners to hide it, so it creates a professional framing effect that focuses on me. And then the top of your webcam should actually end right where your head is. Otherwise, you get framed really weird, like you're too far away or too close. This creates kind of a close-up effect. Other thing that does help me is, again, it creates a reach. It gets dialogue out. I get to talk about my series in a verbal way. And as you can tell, I talk really fast. I have ADHD. I'm really hyper. So talking aloud helps me actually frame a lot of things in my mind, because I don't actually think a lot of things out in here. God, that sounds so bad. Yes, I'm a giant derp. I say them, and then as I hear it, I'm kind of going back and like analyzing it. So yeah. Other than that, I would just say just start doing it. The cool thing is with OBS, you can record them. You do not have to stream live, so you can watch yourself. There are two settings in here. It's called stream and record. Exactly what they say, record. It's offline. You can see an image of you. I'm watching on one of my monitors the live recording of me as I'm actually doing it. I'm watching the delayed YouTube feed up there, which is where you guys are with the chat. And I've got Facebook open, and I'm a very visual person. And videos helps me kind of take all that into account. I'm trying to process everything I can. And yeah, let's see what else. What other questions there are, because there's so many. I did not expect this to get this popular. It's like the most views I've ever had. Oh, I can show you some other things that I think help with being an author. It's since I don't outline, I pants. One of the things I do delve into for my world is the mythology and paranormal research. And I actually keep Vincent Graves' journal. Now, I'm not going to show you the inside of the journal because the first page is actually a massive spoiler, so I cannot show that, and I can't flip through it because I don't know what's on what page, because I take mythology notes on rough paper, and then what I do is I rewrite them to the myth I want to use, because I know the next 4 or 5 books already. I know where the main series is going. I don't know what order I'm going to use the myths. I just know that the next 5 are going to be these myths in whichever order, and I know the subplot's going to fill the rest up. So I can show you the journal because it is real, and that's how it came into the novels. Vincent's memory journal, and then his actual paranormal mythological journal. I gotta get this without my pajamas falling off. Give me a second. Alright, so this is actually the journal. It was handmade in Italy. It's all really old, worn, like fancy leather. The novel on memory journal, and then unfold this. I'll flip to somewhere that hasn't been written in. Okay, so all the paper is like this really nice, kind of old world yellowed handmade paper, and it's all sewn in there by hand. And I've got 10 minutes left to talk about other stuff. I'm not going to spoil the insides, like I said. A funny thing, I actually have newspaper clippings and internet printouts and articles that I actually want to stuff in here for more mythology research, because that's how I do it. I print stuff out and I read over it. I just haven't had the time to dedicate to this. I wish I did. Yeah, any more questions? I've unveiled the synopsis. I didn't think I'd be going this long for YouTube. Honestly, this was originally supposed to be like just give everyone the cover 15 minutes and maybe call it a day, because all the big other authors everyone wanted to see who you guys didn't know about before got to go, and they all shared their work, and you got all the cool freebies out of it. I was honestly doing this to help everybody in Nano for all the love they shared with me, because let's be honest, for me it's just a cover reveal. Like I said, the book's not even up for pre-order right now. It's still in the works. There's really nothing I have to offer. I just wanted to have some fun and share this with everybody, and hopefully everybody liked it. Yeah, so I guess I'm just open for more questions. I didn't think it would go this long. You guys have already seen the Funko Pops. Talked about the bookmarks. talked about some of my marketing stuff, shared the blurb. Anything else you guys want? I'm not the coolest person. I'm like a reclusive nerd. Like tomorrow, literally, my day is gonna be. I'm gonna go bargain hunting for some computer monitors in Falls Church because I'm trying to build a second computer for gaming studio work, and I have everything but really nice monitors, but I need to get it built and started. So I just need a monitor, and then I'm gonna come home and work on the third grade report, read a little bit, and yeah, that's gonna be my day. I might start working out that too because I'm getting old and I need to start working out or I'm gonna like die by 30 because I've been living off pizza for the last 2 months. Literally every day I've had at least one pizza. Um, I don't want to die by the time I'm 27. So that cool things I guess happening that I could talk about since no one's asking questions. Um, I'm very fortunate that I'm gonna be going hiking in August with New York Times bestselling and internationally bestselling author Kevin J. Anderson. I was very fortunate enough to be invited on a hike with him to Mount Evans in Colorado somewhere. So that's gonna be cool. Hopefully, I'll be able to take a lot of photos, and that will just be really fun. Um, I'm gonna be mailing out some of my books to some people going to Dragon Con in the hopes that they can give them to because Brandon Sanderson's gonna be in there, Patricia Briggs. So that there's an author marketing tip right there. If you know friends going to conventions, give them your stuff. I just ordered 5,000 bookmarks, and I'm going to be mailing them to people taking them to Dragon Con. And some of my friends are they host. No, they don't host. They what's the word I'm looking for? They volunteer at Comic Con, the Comic Con in San Diego, and they offered to help spread my bookmarks there as long as I just sent them some, and I was more than okay with that. NaNoWriMo is a huge network, and as you've seen, I just ask if anyone wants bookmarks, and they take them. So you can do a lot of cool creative marketing and just share it out there, and people are really nice and just do it back for them. I still have a few bookmarks left over for Brandon Varnell. There's a few left because, like I said, I'm going to a Japanese anime convention later this year just for fun because I'm a huge anime geek, and that's the perfect place to give those out. I do it for other authors all the time. I did it for Katika Schneider, who's in here, as well as Kelly Blanchard, who also hosted an hour. I'm more than willing if you guys want to send me stuff to share and promote. I'd love to do it. I happen to be very fortunate in that where I live in Northern Virginia in Falls Church, I'm 15 minutes from Great Falls, and the reason that's important is Great Falls, Virginia, consistently, as far as counties in the U.S. goes, buys the most books. When you look up those things about what state reads the most, I don't know what state, but in terms of counties, a county 15 minutes from me does buy the most books every year. I don't know why, but they do. There is a very good reading community out there. You can go to, there's a lot of indie bookstores in my area. I'm just starting to find out about them. That's something I will say. Just free marketing advice. Seriously consider your indie bookstores. I was thinking the wrong way. I have a lot of, like I said, depression issues and self-validation things. I felt like I had to be in bookstores and stuff to start making it and making a name. And when that didn't happen, it got sad. And I was trying to get into Barnes & Noble and Books A Millions, but I never thought about the fact that there's so many indie bookstores out there that they want you to come there. That's the best environment. They don't treat you as another author. They don't treat you like, oh, you're not a New York Times bestseller. They want you to come in. They hype you. They're really friendly. That's the best place to go in and not get shy. I'm starting to look into that right now. Find your indie bookstores and support them. A lot of them will stock your book on consignment, so there's no loss. If your book sells, you get paid. If it doesn't, you get it back and you can sell it yourself. Something to keep in mind, Square is it's a free device you can get, and yes, it is free. If you get the basic version, it is a Square credit card reader that's normally like $29, but if you set up an account with them through PayPal, they send you the reader free. You can plug it in your phone, and you can buy your own books in bulk and sell them, and you will get paid. I think the transfer fee is like 49 cents, but for example, if you publish with CreateSpace, you can get your novel for like $4 to $5. At retail, they go for 15. You can sell them yourself. Of course, you have to take the risk of buying them in bulk and spend a lot, but you can host your own parties. Public parks, it sounds silly, but after doing this Facebook event, I got really confident. You can host public events and put out stuff like, in your neighborhood, like in mine, Pimmit Hills, I can put out stuff like in the flyer for $10. Hey, I'm going to have a huge event in the park, and you can do that and just bring your table and sell books there, and it works. I've been starting to learn a lot about this guerrilla marketing thing, and there are authors who've done it. And while it doesn't get you into bookstores and a lot of fame, it gets your local community talking, people who care about you, and they will tell people, they'll tell family on the phone. You don't know where that family is. That will be people across America. But one thing I do definitely stand by is the bookmarks. As NaNoWriMo's seen, I've been mailing them all over the US, and they work. I've mailed them to the UK. My editor has them in Scotland. I've mailed them to other people. I'm trying to get them out to Norway once I get the next batch in for trying, because Norway, I don't understand what's going on in that country, but one day somebody ordered 73 copies of my novel, and it was one order, and it wasn't a mistake because it was never refunded after 2 months. So, thank you, Norway. I don't know what happened, but thank you. um, yeah. I can keep going if you guys want me to. At this point in my life right now, I don't have any other commitments. I don't have a day job. I'm just writing. So I can stay up, and I can keep hosting this for anyone who wants to be up. If anyone wants any one-on-one advice, wants to talk about something, or what's going on there, Graves parties, grave raves. I wish. No, I don't know if Vincent Graves would be down for a rave, and the reason why is, and this is going to become really derpy and sort of nerdy, but raves are a really big tactical, bad situation to be in, and I talk about this a lot because one of the shows I grew up reading a lot about, because this is some sort of personal. One of the careers I wanted because of where I lived when I was younger. I live by Washington D.C. So the largest infrastructure of the U.S. government is here. That's including the CIA, FBI, DoD, Homeland Security, Pentagon, NSA, and every other security, acronym thing. And I watched a lot of spy shows as a kid, and I started taking that really seriously, and I read a lot of thrillers. And I'm saying all this to bring up the point that I actually took seriously for a long time all the stuff like tactical threats and bad situations to be in, and like a club is a bad spot for Graves to be in and have a party, because it's a million people all bouncing around and you can't see, and there's dark lights and flashing things. Like, that's prime territory for Graves to get ambushed. That's somewhere he doesn't want to be. And that's just, yeah, I wish. I could never be a spy because of who I am. Again, remember, this was a childhood dream because of where I live. It's just one of those things where, you actually meet people who do it. It's not taboo. People will say, like, we worked for the CIA, and they were just like a director, or, they were there was something. You can talk about that, because a lot of people don't know this. This is so weird. I got in this tangent, ADHD. The CIA does not operate on American soil. They operate on foreign soil. So anyone who's here is mostly like an analyst or something, or someone really high up who's not a spy. They're just in charge, or someone really low who's a grunt doing God knows what. One of the reasons I really wanted to do it is because of the way I look. I kind of stand out here a little bit. Actually, no, I don't. Not in Area versus Virginia, but if, anywhere overseas, I can kind of get lost. I've been mistaken for almost every ethnicity you can imagine, so I thought that would kind of be cool. Don't stand out like James Bond, but be like the sneaky ninja. Nobody knows who I am. Muahaha. I can't believe I did that. One of the reasons I really wanted to do it is because of the way I look. No talking now. But yeah. I took stuff like Burn Notice really seriously when I was a kid, and James Bond and Jack Reacher. And you see some of that in the Grave Report. Thank you for the Ace Ventura reference. I hope that's what you were referencing with it, because that's where I remember that song from. Oh my god, now that I realize that Vincent Graves is kind of like a really bad Ace Ventura. Oh, what have I done? Now I'm kind of tempted to give him a monkey. I'll think about that. Do you need a permit from the park? It depends on your park. In my park, I'm very fortunate. My park happens to be co-opted. I think that's the right word for its situation, where it's sponsored and cleaned up by a religious organization called the Baha'is. And I don't know too much about them, but I know it's actually a religion that's open to every religion. It's kind of like all religion. It's kind of like the coexist sign, but as a religion. And because of that, they are very open. There's no rules in the park. Anybody's allowed to do anything as long as you're not hurting people and hogging the whole park for yourself. And clean up after yourself. And the only rules of the park are just don't be there at night just for your own personal safety issues. It's a park, God knows what crazy people might go out of park at night. Um, Pretty much, yeah, they're kind of like theological Switzerland, if I understand it. They don't get involved with religion, but they will take your money if you want them to hold it for a 15% fee. It sounds like something cool. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what I should have done with my life, just been that. Just hold people's money. I should have been a bank. My life would be easier, but you can definitely find parks like that. Most parks go under your neighborhood authority. I do know that, especially if you have a housing committee or what is it, homeowners association. But at the end of the day, most parks are still public. So if you come in with an author folding table, nobody's really gonna say anything to you. You're not hurting it. You're just selling a book. I would try it. The one thing I will say is think about your local malls and places you could really bring a lot of attention to. This is something I was offered that I didn't take up, and I do regret now. I admit that. It was when I was buying my cell phone at the T-Mobile store in Tyson's Corner Mall. The guy who was there was a huge techie, and we started talking about computers, and it became about my writing career, and he offered me as manager to come in and do a book signing there. I would just have to bring my own books. Unfortunately, at this time, I had lost my job. I didn't have a lot of money to buy books, so I turned it down. I should have just figured out a way to done it, or did it. Wow, horrible English. I'm a writer. I word good. Uh, yeah, you do have to be careful about needing a permit and stuff, but again, that's one of those things where it depends on your state. However, in my state, I'd have to be making a lot of money before I would need a permit. Virginia, you have to be selling like $10,000 or something before it becomes a business. At this point, legitimately on my taxes, I qualify as an indulgent like hobby. It's kind of insulting for someone who's getting a lot of attention and very blessed to have a lot of fans for an indie and starting to make a name, but I'm pretty much, as far as the government is concerned, a hobbyist writer who just dabbles. I hope I can change that, but at this point I don't need a permit. I don't need anything. I just have to keep writing and turn in my Amazon forms and get my little tax refund for being so poor. But yeah, most places are really open to it. One tip I will put out is if you have money to invest and you haven't started yet, seriously consider Ingram Spark. The reason I say this is they are a publisher where you go on with your own ISBN and if you publish with them, it does cost money. You do have to pay a listing fee in a catalog, but bookstores will stock you. You can get into Barnes & Noble. Of course, that doesn't mean they will. You have to, draw yourself out. You've got to, create a demand for it. They'll have you in catalogs and you'll be acceptable because you can get returns. Create a Space at this time does not allow for that. They don't take returns, and because of that, a lot of bookstores won't stock you. However, if you are with Creative Space, I will say this: don't be discouraged, because this is another author tip I just found out. Barnes & Noble has changed a lot of its publishing standards now, and what they're allowing in their bookstores and what their standard for what they want is. And in that, indie books are now open to that from Creative Space. The way it works is you can either submit it to them yourself and wait, and maybe they'll take a chance on you, or if you're an open distribution like I am, my print books, even though they're made by Creative Space, are still sold through Barnes & Noble's network online. You can go to a Barnes & Noble store and order it. It'll be shipped to your house or the store, and you can pick it up. If you sell over a couple thousand copies of those within a year time, they'll pick you up. If you sell 500 to 1,000 on the Nook platform, which is what I'm actually trying to do right now, making sure people realize that that's out there, if you sell enough on the Nook, they'll consider putting you in stores anyway. Like, there's a lot of ways to do it. Other places thank you for saying that. I was about to mention it, DR. That is to get into libraries. I'm very fortunate a lot of nanos have been ordering me in their libraries, but really think about it. The best way to start that is donate some yourself. It's always good. The biggest benefit you're going to get out of doing a library is they will want you back for readings. That's really important because, again, your neighborhood, your locale and community will come out to support you. They'll talk about you. They will check out your book. You might not get paid for it, but you might get a lot of reviews. And I will say this, as a starting author, I didn't have any sales for like the first year. I'm talking like absolutely pitiful, maybe $30 over a whole year from 2013 to 2014. But, well, I started in Christmas 2013, so let's just say 2014. but I started getting reviews. One of the things I learned to do is please be proactive. It's scary, but one of the things I'm going to mention here is please look up a site called the Indie Reviewer. What it is a blog. They do their own reviews. However, they have a blogger list of every blogger who's contracted with them that they vetted, who has a good reach, a good reputation, and will review whatever genres they list and publish those reviews. As long as you give them a free copy, you do not have to pay. You can send them a PDF or a Kindle Mobi or a Nook file, and they will review it. Contact them. You're literally just giving them a free book, and you'll get reviews. Those reviews do build you up. They do look professional. You can use a lot of them as editorials if you request it to kind of look more professional on your pages. It does help. And never say you're a hack sci-fi writer or a hack anything writer, because I thought I was a hack urban fantasy writer, but here's the thing. 50 Shades of Grey is a Twilight fanfiction. We all know it is. That's what it started off as. And it became a New York Times bestseller. There's no real such thing right now as a hack writer because there's 7 billion people on the planet. And they all read multiple genres. I've never met one person that reads only one thing. I've met some people that only read nonfiction. But they don't read just biographies. They'll read historical. They'll read, memoirs. They'll read, war stories. Everybody reads more than one genre at least. I've never met somebody who only read paranormal fantasy. That's one of my favorites. I read fantasy, sci-fi. I read alternative history. I read philosophy, meditation books. I read, I'm a huge dork because I'm a college dropout. I'm trying to be a polymath and at least sort of act like I know something. So I read a lot of biology stuff. Like I've got encyclopedias on the side of my wall. That's how Vincent learns a lot of the cool things he does in the stories you see, like how to escape from a straitjacket. Because I read fun stuff like that. Like how would I escape from a straitjacket? I read biology stuff. So it's how he knows about human anatomy and how Ortiz knows about it. There's no really way to be a hack. Just have fun. Because at one point in time, a lot of authors were criticized for being hacks, and now they're famous. John Carter, the Hero on Mars books, those were pulp sci-fi fictions. They were printed out in serialization. They were never considered serious novels. They were printed out a chapter at a time and sold for 5 cents, maybe not even. And now there's a movie about it. There's no such thing as a hack now because of indie publishing. You can literally publish whatever you want and you'll find readers for it. People who never knew they could find, your blend of genre. The problem is just reaching those, and that takes time. I'm still learning so much about marketing. But since everyone's still talking about the reviewing thing up there, yeah, I'm going to mention it again. There are a lot of indie reviewers who are overloaded, but just submit. Because here's the thing. You don't know who's going to say yes, because I will say this. A lot of them don't open their emails and check in order. They really don't, I swear. I queried a long time ago agents, and I was very fortunate that I know how to query really well, I've learned. That does not mean I was successful in pitching my novel. That's a different story. I learned how to create a really catchy tagline. And that's exactly how a lot of these indie reviewers go, because they're inundated with so many books. One of the things I did, which made my email stand out to agents, and I got fast turnaround time, and really polite denials, by the way, and I'll explain why I was denied. I was rightfully denied way back when. This is before I wrote the great report. I would say email query, which you should say, and I said this is the best form of internet harassment. And nobody expected that, because it was kind of, a tongue-in-cheek thing about me annoying them to read my book, but it was true. They think it's internet harassment, and I got a lot of agents telling me they laughed at it, and it was the first query that stood out, even though I wasn't first on the list. They were just scrolling through and mine stands out, and they happened to read it. And there you go. Kristen Cannon, her bookstore, does the reviews. That's something to really consider. They'll feature on their front page. I mean, there you go, networking right there. Remember, you can use a bookstore as editorials. And hopefully if I start doing more of these, I might start hosting maybe a monthly live podcast thing, or live this, if people want me to. And I'll focus on marketing stuff and writing stuff. And that's something you should put on your editorial, which is not hard. Amazon will let you do it for free. It takes 2 seconds on your Amazon author page. You just list where the editorial's from. In this case, Kristen Cannon's bookstore, and you would just say whatever she says. You just copy it verbatim, get her permission, and it looks professional when people see it. You can put it on the back of your novels. In fact, I'll show that. I'm very fortunate that I had people leave me editorials for my books, and you should put that on your novels. On the back of the grade report, make sure I can see it because I've got my second window. Up there, you can see a drop of ink reviews, just like you see on every other publisher who does, Publishers Weekly said this, blah, blah. A Drop of Ink gave me their best book of 2015, which is amazing, because they review traditional published books as well. They really are making a name for themselves, which is kind of important. And here's a cool thing you can do. Get other authors, get your friends. I got another urban fantasy author who really loved my book to leave me an editorial. That helps you promote them if your book sells well. It helps them get attention, and, it goes back to you. For Grave Measures, what I did was, what did I do? Because I won the review after the book came out, but I had an editorial, I mentioned the fact that the first book won Best Book of 2015. I understand it sounds braggy, but at the end of the day, remember your brand. It's not braggy if you earn that review. You do want people to know that, hey, I did a good job. Consider buying my novel. Because it's something I talked about before on my YouTube show about confidence. You can go like, hey, I sort of wrote something, check it out. Or you can go like, hey, I wrote something I'm really happy with, and a lot of other people are happy too, and this is what they're saying. It's the whole, LeVar Burton thing where don't take my word for it, take someone else's. There's the actual Drop of Ink review for this one. The award. This is an excerpt from Amy Hopkins, who's the author of Dreamstalker and the Talented series, so another urban fantasy you should check out. Unfortunately, she didn't have time to host this event, but when I do more, she's definitely going to get in. And I know you can't read it, but you can read it online. I'm being really weird with how I'm holding it right now. I've been up for like 2 days planning and gathering links and blah, 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 blah stuff. Get your other nano authors, like anyone in urban fantasy here. The next time your book comes out, if I get a time to read it, I'll ask for an ARC. I'll be more than happy to read it, and I could leave you an editorial. All you do is on your Amazon page is put it in the description, put it in the editorial thing below, and if you make a paperback, whoever's formatting your paperback for you, ask them, hey, R.R. Virdi left me this quote, can you please put it on the back around the summary? And it helps both of us. It's another author's endorsement for you, and people will go like, well, who's this R.R. Virdi guy, leaving these quotes on this book? There's so many ways to do it that don't cost you a thing. I think the biggest mistake, and this is personal, is everyone's looking for paid marketing. Everyone wants to spend money before they're making money, and you don't have to. You have an entire community, because most of your NaNoWriMos, of 20,000 people who will help you out. People who have already published and are more than willing to leave you not only day one reviews, but editorials. There's no shame in getting someone else's editorial just because they're not famous. That's arrogant. No author starts out famous. Stephen King was, God, we all know he was rejected so many times. Yeah, he sold Carrie and was really successful, but he still wasn't, world known at the time. He wasn't the Stephen King, where, he could crap out a book and it becomes a movie, a TV show, syndicated, gets a graphic novel, and sells $50 million that year. He was still starting out. Remember, he went through a time where he was Richard Bachman and writing novels that flopped. That happens. God, I hope Stephen King doesn't come across this one day. I'm going to end up in a novel, or I'm going to end up murdered, or both. But, yeah, get your nano authors, because it does build you up. You all have your own networks. I have mine. You have your fan base. You can cross-promote. That's what this whole event was about. We had a lot of, advertising going on today from different authors. We had fantasy, sci-fi, a lot of urban fantasy, paranormal romance. You all brought your readers and friends with you, and they all walked away seeing a lot of other authors and getting free books and stuff. That's how this works. Nobody lost anything, and hopefully everybody gained. I know some bloggers got a lot of traffic. I'm always happy to do more of these. Who do you think you're getting, Eric? I got into Nano in 2014. Can you have a simple paragraph as a chapter? Actually, you can. You know what? I have a book that does that. Let me grab that. Let me put all my other books away because I've got a huge mess going. Actually, now I'm going to leave the mess. I'll clean it up later. Where did I put King Killer Chronicles? What did I do with them? Oh, shit. Oh. I got into Nano in 2014. See if I can find a chapter for you guys to share here. I won't read it aloud because it's really late and I'm talking really loud already. Okay. That right there. God, that glare. That's 3 paragraphs. And what it is it's interlude. It depends how you narrate your story, but you can absolutely have a paragraph be a chapter depending on what you want it to be. I've done it. I've done it for a simple scene change. POVs, George R. R. Martin. If you're introducing a new character, it's your style. You can do whatever you want. I actually recommend it at sometimes because shorter chapters are a great way to introduce something, set something up with tension without having to blow it out and flesh it out and drag on, and then move on and have the readers go, "That was really cool. What just happened? How is it relevant?" It's sort of setting something up. Like a lot of people do it to introduce a new character at the same time and break from the action. Um, like Tolkien does it a lot of times in his novels. Of course, he doesn't do you know a paragraph, but like I said, you can. He did it to leave something else on a cliffhanger and go like, okay, these characters are in trouble now. They're fighting a million orcs. I'm gonna talk about Frodo now, and you're like, wait, what? But they've got to fight off a million orcs. What's gonna happen to Frodo? And then he does the same thing. He builds Frodo up to, well, now he's gonna be chased by ring wraiths, and you don't know if he's gonna get away next chapter, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what just happened? You can do that with a paragraph, and like I said, I write thrillers, so I recommend it because it's great for pacing. You don't have to slow down the novel. You could just go, boom, really important, cool new character, POV, something ominous is happening, and move back to story, and everyone's going like, okay, something is going on here. It's going to build up and do something. I want to keep reading to find out how this old chapter comes back later. And it works. I am of the Raymond Chandler school to where at times if I'm plot bunnied and I'm stuck or I have too many ideas, what I do is the old introduce a guy with a gun. That whole thing is not necessarily, well, it did start that way. It used to be if he was stuck, he would have a guy come through the door with a gun and boom, action. You have to figure that scene out, but after that you kind of go, why did that guy come through with a gun? Then you kind of use hindsight and build that back up and go, okay, he was sent by this character from the first chapter who I never explained really on, and now I'm going to tie it up, and now you realize this guy was a hitman who was following me, and he was the person who I thought was innocuous on the road just walking around. That works out great. You can do that in just a chapter. Introduce a character, maybe stalking another character, and that's it. Move on after that paragraph. The audience knows somebody's following your main character. Why? They don't know why until you give them a reason to explain it. Let's see. There's a lot of questions. I didn't think people would still stick around for this. I thought everyone would go. Actually, I forgot. There's more time zones than just where I live. I'm a very, very sheltered boy. I live in a small room the size of like the Harry Potter closet. I don't get out much. I don't do anything. Oh my god, I have 97 comments. I should start addressing some of these on Facebook too. What did I do? Oh man. Okay, I think I'm just going to answer YouTube questions and then go back and answer the comments on Facebook when this is all done. If anyone wants me to keep going, I can keep going till 12. And then I will collapse and not wake up until 4 o'clock p.m. tomorrow because that's what authors do. Twilight, I think, was book 2. Did a chapter, just a chapter heading, and yeah. I don't know what to say because I didn't read Twilight. But, yeah, open to any more questions or anything. I think I've talked enough about me. Nobody's interested in knowing anything else about me. If you want, you can ask non-writing stuff. I'll still answer. If you want to get to know Ronnie. But, and there you go. There's my real name. For some of you who didn't. Actually, that's not my real name. It's my first name. There's a reason I have 2 R's in my pen name. But, any fun plans for the week? Wait, it's August, right? Oh, Suicide Squad. I am actually a huge DC Comics fan, and that's something I can share right now. If you go through my old YouTube videos, you'll see I have a lot of things about paying the author and artists and valuing your work. It's something I really believe in. I think all artists should be valued and never undersell yourself, and don't do it to another artist. And because of that, and the DC thing, this is something that I do at conventions. I collect art, so let's see if I can get this to work and not be spazzy. But I have okay, it's inverted, right? God, I'm horrible with this stupid camera. Look up. There we go. Artwork that I've collected. If I can get it. There we go. Daredevil, Supergirl, Black Panther, and Red Sonja from one artist. And then I've got, let's turn this around. um, Batman with the Bat Family, Batman and Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, Spidey Gwen, Black Widow, Harley Quinn and Deadpool. And that's just some of the art I collect, and because you brought up fun plans for the week, I'm gonna go see Suicide Squad because I'm a huge comic book nerd for both franchises, Marvel and DC. Also the lesser known ones, which for anyone watching, if you want recommendations, Vertigo. They are probably the best comic writers in my opinion. I so hope to God no one from Marvel or DC is watching this. Actually, no, that's cool. Most of those writers all bounce between companies and they all love each other's works, but Vertigo is what created Constantine. They have amazing, dark, gritty writing. It's really heavy on that. They're not really big on the kapow and the bam signs. They're more, my stomach felt like a bundle of epileptic snakes, or, the toothless gnawing of December winds made me hunch over and pull my coat a little bit tighter. Image Comics is really famous for representing people well, and what I mean by that is they choose a lot of interesting characters. Image Comics does not go around making Superman, 6'2" with a giant chest and the 6-pack abs. Image Comics is like a guy like any one of you in here who was thrust into a horrible situation and tough luck, figure it out. Normal people, maybe some of them have superpowers, but it's fantastic writing. Image is probably one of the best respected comic companies in the world right now. And believe it or not, if any of you are watching this and you're thinking about one day maybe pitching your work to a comic company or dreaming about who to get, Image Comics is the number one recommended comic company for that. DC artists, I don't know if I can mention this, but some writers and artists have come to schools where they do seminars and talk about it. And when authors and writers bring this up, who do they want to go work for? Other comic companies have still recommended Image. They treat people well. One of the biggest things about Image that you want to take away as an author is you retain all the copyright. You keep any material that you write. It's credited to you. That's really big. So if you come in as an author, so yeah, you could take that away. I have a hard time getting into comics, but I'm a non-visual person. I like to see words on a page. I really do like Hellblazer comics. If you're really visual, I would say Justice League Dark. There you go. Hellblazer, the way it started out was in the 60s, and it was obviously a tumultuous time in U.S. history, and it really touches on that. It's really philosophically heavy. Justice League Dark is kind of the thriller, it's exactly what it is, Justice League Dark. It's like, their A-team, but for magic. So it's really heavier on the action. It's really fast paced. You're going to have a lot more images, a lot more action, a lot more explosions and cool, fireworks and magic and monsters. That's what I'd recommend if you want to see Constantine and a lot of the cool stuff. But you want more imagery and more action. I'd recommend Justice League Dark. Trying to think best arcs. Actually, just pick up where they started a while ago with the Death of Magic and all that. I'm trying to remember what happened. It's been a long time. Like I said, I'm reading a million things. That's what I recommend. I am a little taxed, but trust me, I'm okay. I actually needed this for a different reason. During the 2 days that I did this, I actually didn't write at all, which, as a pantser, I try to write every day, but I was burning out writing a lot. I was writing 2,000 words a day, trying to finish a novel in 2 months, record time for me, and I was under a lot of depression and worrying because I pants. The first two of my novels did fantastically well. The Books of Winter, I was very blessed and fortunate to have a New York Times bestselling author and publisher go over it for me. They looked at it and they liked it. Now, we didn't get into a publishing agreement because that was never an option. This was just them looking over it for me, just doing me a favor, going like, "Hey, we will help you out because we like you." And I'm really happy, and I'm confident it will do well. The third and the Grave Report is part of a really successful series that's done well now, and it's the whole unknown bit for me. Will the third book live up to the hype? Everyone says the second book's supposed to be the hardest. That was Grave Measures. That was never hard for me. The Books of Winter was never hard for me. That was just fun indulgence. This is the first book where I'm really scared. I will admit that. So even though I'm tired, I needed this event to take 2 days off writing and just hang out with other authors and help promote them and share and just talk aloud. And actually, you can actually see that little box down there. That's the printed out first. No, that's the entire manuscript for Books of Winter, which I just shared, printed out, and that was mailed to that author, and that's it back with all their edits in it. I can actually show that. That was not fun going through. Yep, I lost the page. But as you can see there, Dangerous Ways, all marked up. Very fortunate to have a New York Times bestselling author and publisher go over it for me. That did a lot for my confidence. Also my pressure. Now I've got to keep writing really well. So I'm tired, but I can still keep going till 12, and I need this for my mental health in a different way. Physically, yeah, tired, but you know what? This was good for me. I was really happy to do it. I hope I get to do more of these. This is my first live YouTube, and I like interacting this way rather than doing a YouTube explanation. I like the live interaction, and because I'm ADHD, I'm really responsive, and I need a stimulating environment. So hopefully, if people like this, I'm more than willing to start doing some of these monthly, not just an author takeover, but maybe bi-monthly, 2 a month, maybe even 3 if I can hammer out the time. Live YouTube sessions where we can cover things. It can kind of be like a class. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that I'm someone who should be teaching. We all have stuff to learn, but everyone learns stuff writing, and I do believe that we're supposed to share it. So it could just be that I could start hosting like an author open mic thing and just share what I've learned and try to keep it on a subject for anything. If anyone here is open to that. How do you focus on your writing? Because I'm ADHD, I have to take extra steps to make sure I do have a routine. While I don't outline because of the ADHD, I enjoy the surprises and just, the spur of the moment writing. I do have to set aside a time every day where I write, and what's been happening right now is I fall into a cycle where it just so happens that 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time to about 3 to 4 is just when I write. There is no reason for it. There's nothing that I have to do in the morning. It's just I started the first day back in July, guaranteed that I'm going to start writing this month, and I put it off till about 12, 1 o'clock. I was watching TV shows, I was reading in the morning, eating breakfast, getting ungroggied, and there's a Facebook group called Grotto Garden run by Brad Werner, and they run sprints there. And I just went there and I was like, all right, I'm going to sprint with these guys. And I already had the opening to Graves. I almost had the title, Graves 3, which is all I will say. And I just wrote the beginning, the first 2,000 words, and I was like, all right, that's my normal word count, and I'll do it again tomorrow at 1. And that's all there is. I don't have a choice not to focus on it. I know I have to do it because of my ADHD. I cannot put it off. I like writing at night. I admit that fully, but unfortunately right now in my life, I don't have the luxury of staying up late to write at night. I have to get it done first because a lot of random things happen in my life. So if I get it done earlier in the afternoon, like 1 to 2, I have the whole rest of the day just in case emergencies happen, because my life is like Chance Fortunes. If any of you read that, craziness happens. I attract strange things into my life. Yeah. I'm writing a heck of a lot right now, and I'm really happy that this got to happen because it's sort of like my treat, as weird as it sounds. Not sleeping for 2 days, but as you all saw with Books of Winter, while I'm showing this, I just finished the biggest revisions from my editor, and it's going out tomorrow to beta readers. So this is kind of a reward. I've been editing this month my largest novel, which is 170,000 words. So this is going to be a 500-page to 600-page novel in mass market paperback in 6 to 9 trade size, which is what the Grave Report is. It's probably going to be 400 pages because it's a larger book. If you want an idea of what it might look like, it'll probably look like the first Game of Thrones book. So it will be about, this is about what? 270,000 words. So you're looking at about that for the novel, which is, that's still pretty beefy in 6x9. And now I've got another book I gotta pick up and put back later because I'm lazy. So that was intense. I was editing all 170,000 words this month, writing the third novel on the Grave Report. and editing and writing 2 short stories for The Longest Night's Watch 2, which I showed earlier, the charity anthology for Alzheimer's. The second one's coming out in September. I can let some spoilers slip. I'm very fortunate that people are liking the material in the Longest Night's Watch, the Chance Fortunes, and the Quest World series. Because what I did was, to honor Terry Pratchett, I sort of created a mini my own spin on his world. I took an anime called Fairy Tale, which plays on some of the tropes that you've seen in fantasy games, about guilds and quests with magic. And I took Terry Pratchett's comedic fantasy stuff, and I pretty much created my own world called Quest World, which makes fun and, tongue-in-cheek, making fun of stuff like Elder Scrolls, which is my favorite game series, about heroes and legends, and all working pretty much day jobs by taking quests. And the first short story was really well loved. The second two in beta already have been really popular, especially with people I know. In the reviews for the first Longest Night's Watch, a lot of people liked Quest World. So because I created a world out of it, not just a short story, there will be more short stories coming out in an anthology solely dedicated to Quest World. So hopefully some point next year, I will have, I guess, my own anthology, if that makes sense. There'll be a Quest World anthology that I'm working on right now. I'm starting the other short stories, and it'll just be maybe 10, I guess, short stories, all fleshing out the world. And because of that, it's going to lead up to a novel in Quest World, which will be from Chance Fortune's point of view, the Wizard of Misfortune. So you guys have some insights into what other projects I'll be working on. Will I be doing Nano in November? Hopefully, yes. I've never actually done a NaNoWriMo in November. The way I found out about the NaNoWriMo group is I wrote Grave Beginnings NaNoWriMo style. It wasn't technically a real Nano novel because I wasn't in the group. I just pantsed it. And I was having trouble at one point, and my friend bought me the book No Problem by the founder of NaNoWriMo, Chris Batty. And I read it, and I started Googling it, and by the time Grave Beginnings was done and published, I found the NaNoWriMo Facebook group, and I joined. Since then, life and stuff just happened to keep me out of doing a Nano event. And I was really shy at first, a lurker, and I just saw some people getting sad, and I started making motivational posts, and 2 years later, yeah, everyone knows the story from there. I'm the king of otters, to the point where I've got otter t-shirts now. I have an otter plushie somewhere that somebody sent me. I can find that. I've got otter socks. Eventually someone's going to mail me a real otter. Let's see if I can find that. Life and stuff just happened to keep me out of... You won't see George R. R. Martin do this in his live interviews. And I just saw some otter socks. Motivational posts, and 2 years later, I have an otter t-shirt somewhere. I don't know where my otter plushie is. I think my otter plushie is somewhere above my bed. It's somewhere like on my bookshelf, where he likes to fall at night and bombard me in the face, because that is what otters do. Yeah, I would cross borders for an otter. I do have a passport. Like I said, I'm going to Colorado in August for a hiking event. I have never been out of the country in years. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I was out of the country. It's been a long time. But yes, I have an active passport. Oh my god, I have like 99 notifications on Facebook now. I'll address that later. I don't know what I was saying. Like I said, I have ADHD. I know I was making fun of George R. R. Martin and otters, and something happened, and I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, Colorado is still in the U.S., but I have an active passport because I'm lazy, and I like using that as my identification. I think there's a lot of different ways. Even when you're still traveling in the U.S., from my experience, you still need to show something like a driver's license, or, I don't know, you always have to have ID, don't you? I always get asked. I just flash my passport, and I'm always fine. It's always just been kept up to date. I think I'm still good for a few more years. I know my family paid a lot, and we got like the longest one you can get, which is like 10 years or something. I don't know. My photo looks ridiculous though, because I was like a teenager when I took it, or I was like right at the end of high school. I don't know. I think I still had like my hair dyed. Scotland's nice this time of year. We had some sunshine today. Well, it was like 90 here, so I'm kind of sunshined out. Um, I live in the South. It's Virginia, and because it's Northern Virginia, it's so close to DC, and DC is a swamp. They don't tell you that it is a swamp. It's a city built in a swamp that looks really pretty, but it's humid as heck, and it's really hot, and it sucks. Um, I use my state ID. Someone lost my passport. My passport is with my parents for that reason. That way, if someone loses it, I can blame them. Uh, I'm still open for questions till 12. I don't want to keep anyone. Please don't feel like you have to be here. Honestly, the original event was just supposed to be 15 minutes of me unveiling. It was for everybody else. That's the biggest reason I did this. The cover was already revealed through my mailing list. Some people already knew about it and they saw the synopsis. This was just an excuse for me to learn how to do this so I could help other authors because, as I mentioned, the NaNoWriMo group, everyone here, all of you have been endlessly helpful and supportive to me and helping me get so far, places I never thought I would get, which has helped my confidence, and I just want to share it back. So, 20 authors got to come, and hopefully everyone, has sales over the next few days, and honestly, it's just, I don't know if you guys could kidnap me. I'm 6 foot, and I'm like, I don't know how much I weigh anymore, but I'm still tall. I mean, you could try to smuggle me. I'm not gonna, deny free travel. How about New York? I'd love to go to New York since the Great Report takes place there. I have a lot of family there. That's the biggest. That's the biggest reasons I like setting it in New York. I have family there, a lot of it, so I can try to get really accurate stuff. I can just call them. I've got family in Queens, Rhode Island, not Rhode Island, Long Island. Why did I say Rhode Island? Long Island, Queens, a lot of the boroughs. Honestly, I didn't know where to set the Grave Report. I couldn't do Chicago because Jim Butcher took it. I couldn't do somewhere cool in the South because True Blood and Patricia Briggs and what's her face? Oh my God, Anita Blake, Laurel K. Hamilton, the queen of the genre, said it all. She took all those regions. People have already done Louisiana, and I kind of felt bad because the superheroes already took New York. But you know what? Screw them. It was the closest thing that I knew I could, accurately portray. So I guess I could let something spoil for people who don't know. The Grave Report is one out of, at this point in time, 8 series planned for this universe. All 8 series will be independent. You do not need to read any of the others to catch up to all the rest. There are going to be nice Easter eggs. I admit that. For those of you who have read the Grave Report, show of hands, or I guess click who's ever read both books. If you've read both and you go back and reread number 1, you will find out that Vincent hinted at what the plot or where the setting of number 2 would take place. There's a line where Ortiz is telling him something and she makes a joke or where he needs to spend his time after this case. And he literally says, maybe for my next case. I'm not going to say where, but it sets up the second book. Every Grave Report has an Easter egg to what might happen next. And the second book starts another Easter egg, which nobody has caught yet. I'm not going to point it out. But it is referencing... it's referencing a famous character. Uh, the other series has Easter eggs that are more referencing to other stuff. There are Grave Report references in there. So if you keep your eyes up, some are subtle, some are really overt. There's one really in-your-face moment that all the fans will love, and only the fans will get it. And like I said, it's still really overt. Everyone else will just go, okay, this is cool, I hope. But the rest are really subtle. And like I said, all 8 will take place in the same universe, but not the same states. The Books of Winter does take place in New York, like the Grave Report, for really important reasons, but the rest won't. I will be setting them in Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia, my hometown, Baltimore, Atlanta, Georgia, Michigan, Miami, and how did I forget the last one? Texas. I don't know where in Texas right now. I actually had a really obscure small little city, but I will figure that out later. Yes, that's exactly. It is so overt that it's covert. Yes, but yeah, 8 series set in this world, and the biggest reason is, and I admit this, and it's something I recommend to authors. I don't want to leave this universe. It's not that it's comfortable; it's that I like it. I love mythology. I'm a geek for it. I love magic systems. I love crafting that. I love crafting paranormal lore. I want to keep creating it. The Grey Report has set up some stuff. The Books of Winters has set up others. I have a series that's going to flesh out alchemy, as somebody already mentioned. It's I can't deny it because the Books of Winter leaks what one of my future series will be. Again, it's done covertly in there, but picking this up through here and what I've been saying, if you do that, you'll figure out another series. I will make this clear though. As a minority, and this might make some people uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it. I am going to be writing other series that are going to represent a lot of other people. So I am going to have some minority main characters. I am having at least 2 series off the top of my head that I can think of that will star a female main character. To some people, that's not a big issue, but it is something in these genres that, a lot of female characters aren't well represented, especially as main characters. And I'm not saying anybody here is doing that. Don't get that wrong. It's just a lot of people make them as side characters. I did it in the first one, but the whole other reason is Vincent Graves doesn't have a set body. The character I created is supposed to be the everyman. Anybody can be Vincent Graves. Anybody can cosplay him. One of the things in creating the series I wanted to do is I really wanted a hero that anybody could be. He does not, he's not 6'6" and built like Batman. He's a normal person in both book 1 and 2. He's not ripped. He's never jacked. Yeah, in book 1 he looks really good, but that just happens to be part of the plot why he looks like that. In book 2 he's a normal guy. There's nothing outstanding about his appearance, despite how I describe it. In the third book, Vincent Graves is a minority. I can mention that. It's his attitude. Anybody can cosplay him. All you need is the timeline tattoo that he gets and the attitude, and dress normal and really go overboard with the attitude. Maybe get Ortiz to follow you around and kick your ass. I don't know. Or a monster to jump you. But it's something I took away from writing in Stan Lee. That in comics he talks about why Spider-Man and so many superheroes are really successful. And it's the idea of the hero behind the mask. When you create a superhero with a mask, even if you know what they look like without the mask, when they put that mask on, anybody can be him. Halloween, everyone dressed up as like Spider-Man or Superman or Batman or somebody, we like superheroes. You can imagine yourself as one under the costume. Vincent Graves is that without the costume. Anybody can be him. He doesn't have a set appearance. So I guess, the body is the costume. You're the costume when you're Vincent Graves. I think that's something important to take in for a character. You don't have to, have them be anything specific. You can have certain things when you're creating them that will draw in people, to make them resonate. One thing I really learned is, in creative writing classes I've taken, create a list of 20 things that you never plan to share with your audience about your character that you wish they knew but you couldn't share. Now, this doesn't mean you can't actually share it, but when you're creating a character, go with the idea that you won't share it, whether it happens or not, because it's cool when you do it that way, because you'll inadvertently pepper it with something like that. Like maybe your main character plays the guitar and you never mentioned that, but when you describe their bedroom, there's a guitar sitting in the back corner. 5 books down the line, they pick up that guitar and they play. That's going to resonate with people. Maybe anyone who's ever wanted to play guitar, maybe anyone who does play guitar. There's so many different ways you can touch the people from more than just their appearance. Stuff like that. A lot of people noticed that, I picked a really unique car in the Grave Report. The first one, a Lamborghini Miura, and the biggest reason is that I've been working on cars since I was 12. Again, ADHD moment how we got here, but it's writing related. I'm a huge car guy. Up on my far wall, which I can't really show because it's too high, I have thousands of pages of automotive manuals that I've gone for automotive schooling for. I studied it. I've been working on cars since I was 12, so like 14 years now. I've worked for Toyota, I've worked for Ford, Nissan, I've worked for Porsche. I have a 97 supercharged Trans Am. I used to build and race them. So cars are something that show up in the grave report when I can. Will graves always be human? Yes, that is actually really important to the series. It's part of the philosophical thing. Because I have already confirmed that Graves is a soul. He's a human soul. There's no plot twists with that. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to trick you with that. Graves he's a human. But just because you know what he is, that doesn't take away the mystery and the lure because you don't know who he is or who he was. It's a quest for identity. It's something I think that resonates with a lot of people because you've all heard the adage that some of the most interesting people didn't figure out who they are and what they wanted to be until like the middle of their lives or really late. That's kind of analogous to here because I still feel like that. I still don't know what I'm doing. While I love writing and it is my passion, a lot of people in NaNoWriMo know like I like doing other things. Now that I actually drained the glass, maybe I can. Oh, I can show this better. Now you can actually see the grave report on the glass. There's probably better pictures online that I can show, but if you see, there's actually the graveyard as I turn it. That's the opening scene of the book that Jim Hurd was amazing enough to put in there. And this is something else I'm really into, DIY crafting. I'm very fortunate that my mentor and my best friend, and he's also my hero, has taken me under his wing and is teaching me all this stuff. I like creating stuff. This is other stuff I want to do. I want to write. I want to create stuff. I'm starting a gaming studio. I'm almost done building that computer I mentioned, and I'm going to be writing my own video games. And I have, fortunately, friends who are code monkeys who studied game design who will do all the hard work, and I just get to make the story. And I'm still figuring out me. I want to make stuff. I want to write comics. I want to have my own comics. My sister is a very talented artist. If I can get her off her butt, we've already created a comic line story, and we were going to do our own webcomic. I can share the link for that, absolutely. I can post that in the comments here. I already posted it on Facebook. This is the link, and you can actually get your own glasses made. Like I said earlier, he's done glasses for Lotus, big car events. New York Times bestselling authors have them. Again, the Clockwork Lives glass. I don't know if there's any left, but maybe if any of you are going to Dragon Con, Kevin J. Anderson might have some more of these left that he's signing. And you can buy them from him. There's Marvel glasses up there. Rush has gotten glasses. I mean, they're really quality and famous people have them, so they are collector's items. They're well made. They're tempered, so the only way you can really break them is if you throw them at your sibling. That did not come by personal experience. That's just an assumption. I never threw any of these at my siblings. I had an idea and I lost it. There's Marvel glasses up there. I could stare awkwardly at the camera, but I'm not going to do that. I will try to think of something to say. Oh, right. Making stuff. That's another great way to, market. Everyone in here has talents. I don't know what yours all are, but I know you have them. You'd be surprised what you could do to really, sell your series and build your name. I know one lady who crochets and she wants to write. She could crochet, stuff from her comics and her, that's what she wants to do. She wants to write comics, but, she could do stuff like that and, crochet hats or clothing items or even little dolls. I've seen people make, little crocheted characters. At AwesomeCon, somebody made Full Metal Alchemist characters out of little crocheted balls this tiny, and people were buying them up. They were $8. What writing program do you use? Oh God, you guys are gonna laugh at me. My editor and publishers I have been fortunate enough to work with hate me because I use Microsoft Word 2000, 16 years old. I have the most recent version of Word. I will say that in my defense. I do use that at times because I understand it has a lot more, features and better for formatting. I like Word 2000. It is simple. It doesn't have a word count button in the bottom to distract me. It's really big and blocky and chunky looking. It's simple. I'm justifying why. And it's easy, and I like it. And I used to build gaming computers, so I know a lot of tricks and stuff. So because of that, I have an unlimited licensed copy of Word 2000. Meaning I can install as many copies as I want over any and every device I ever make. So I always have a word program. So I trust it. I die, but I can't do that because ADHD. I'm tempted to look down. I like writing for 30 minutes in a sprint and then going sprint done. Word count check. Oh my god, I wrote a lot more than I thought. If I keep looking down, I kind of go like, hey, I'm doing really well. I can take a break. Because ADHD, I'm looking for a reason to take a break. I don't know why I just did that. I'm, yeah. I'm gonna keep my hands to myself. Um, I do admit I have written a notepad before. Uh, After I lost my job, I guess it's okay to talk about this. At times, when it was really slow, I'd go to the back because we worked on commission. And if it was really slow, I'd take a 5-minute break and just run back there and bam, hammer out like 400 words and then do it again and again and again and again and again. Sometimes I wrote like 3,000 words at work and I'd come home and write another 3,000. That's when I was writing Books of Winter, which is why it turned out to be 170,000 words. Nothing in it is forced. It is 170,000 honest words after it's been trimmed. But yeah. When it was slow, I'd go to the back on commission. I don't know what else you guys want me to answer. I can technically stay up all night. That's the good thing about being an author and having no job anymore. I can do whatever I want. Which is why it turned out to be 170. How is it possible you still have MS Word 2000? Microsoft 7, 8, and 10 have full backwards compatibility support if it's already been installed on your device. So, when I built this rig, it was Windows 7 Ultimate, because I have an unlimited license copy of that. I don't know if I can say that on the internet, but I have unlimited operating system keys. So, yeah, I just did that and I installed Word 2000. It was the only one I happened to have at the time before I was able to buy the full Microsoft home office suite. But I needed a writing program. Yeah, Windows 7 Ultimate, because I have an unlimited license copy of that. I don't know if I can say that on the internet, but I woke up at 8 p.m. and it's nearly 11 p.m. now. Lucky you, so you've only been up there. Gotta ask what the word counts. Okay, the first grade report is 96,000 words. Originally, it was 106. I trimmed off 10K. Grave measures was 122K. It is 111. I trimmed off about 11K. The Books of Winter was 180,000. It is now 170. I should have trimmed off a lot more. However, I know about Libra Open Office Source. I have that on my tablet because, again, like I mentioned, I'm a huge tech geek. I used to build custom gaming computers. My rig right here is like a $5,000 rig. And because of that, my friend gave me his old tablet because he couldn't fix it and it was broken. And I fixed it and I had a free tablet and I didn't have a Word license key that I can install on it because it had no CD drive. So I put LibreOffice on it. So yay, I have that too. I've never used it though, so learning curve. Hey, bye-bye for those of you who have to bail. I was saying something. Yeah. Oh, I should have trimmed a lot of from the Books of Winter. However, my editor, who I trust endlessly, was really happy with me, and it was the first novel where I didn't have a lot of useless material. Like, just not that the other books did, I should say, but there were times I would repeat stuff like all authors. You have paragraphs here and there. The Books of Winter was so much fleshing out a new world. Everything was new. I didn't really have time to repeat myself. I was mostly just cutting out words and extra dialogue that I didn't need, and that was 10K, but, you know, there was no 20,000. Like, Grave Measures, there's a secret chapter missing from that book. Someone brought up the paragraph chapter. There was a 3-page chapter in Grave Measures that was a comedy transition scene from, those of you who've read it. After he has his little meeting with Church, and he gets his new body and figures it all out, and gets hauled away from the nurses to the next chapter, there's actually where he's taken by the nurse. There's that scene where in the new chapter 4 in there, where he's leaving the office and it's implied what happened. I actually have the chapter that shows what happens to Graves in his little medical procedure thing, which I might leak out one day. It's unedited, but it is a very horrifying 3-page, traumatic experience for him. And that was the most that's ever been cut out of a novel, just 3 pages for me at once. So yeah, word count, 96,100 11,170. The next grade report will be back on form. These are thrillers. They're shorter. It will be around 100 to 120. Some might be shorter. That happens in the Dresden Files, by the way, too. I will point out. Each novel is not successively always bigger. Some have gone back down shorter. The way it goes is Stormfront is 86,000. Full Moon is about that, like 91. Grave Perils when it jumped over like 90 to 100,000. Same with Summer Night. Death Mask. I think the longest novel for a while was White Knight. That's when it jumped ridiculously, like 160, 170. After that, they dropped below White Knight again to like 130. And then they got pretty beefy again to Skin Game. But it's not unheard of novels dropping word counts, and that's okay by the end of the day. Your novels don't have to be bigger. The Wheel of Time has done it. It just has to be a good, fulfilling story. It's all that matters. Keep it going. Lucky you. I've been up till 1 a.m. every one of these nights, waking back up at like 7 to 8 to start the next day of hosting. So I've gotten like 5 to 6 hours of sleep over both days. And I've been staring at bright screens all days. I don't know how my brain still work. My brain is pudding, but that's okay. Yeah, that is why that scene jump happens. The scene jump was still edited so that it wouldn't matter. The 3-page chapter, the reason it was cut is while it was funny, it was absolutely useless, and it slowed the pace. And Grave Measures is a slower paced novel. It's still fast because it's a thriller overall. It's faster than some other novels' pacings in the urban fantasy genre, but this was more of a horror build-up. Every Grave report has, a set theme of what I'm trying to do. The first one was a really fast thriller kind of action novel. The second it wasn't horror, but it had a slow build-up, being trapped in a mental asylum. The third one is sort of a return to form, but I can spoil, it's a shell game. So Vincent is, running around cities and stuff like that all over again, back on foot, no longer contained in a single setting. However, he's being pulled in every direction now by a lot of different forces. And that's the most I can say without spoiling things because, it's a series. Book 1 and Book 2 make, an impact. They reflect the story. If I say too much, people will start guessing what's going to happen. And they might be right. If I can help you install without using a CD source from a CD, legal. See, that's the funny thing. I never went the IT route. I'm hardware. I used to, again, I build rigs and do all that kind of stuff. So I've got nice toys, but it's a Dell Venue Pro 8 tablet. And I had an OTG cable. God, sorry for all the tech speak for everyone who's not techie geeky. And I had an external CD writer. But the tablet and the OTG would not read the external CD writer because it didn't have embedded support to be detected by a tablet and the OTG cable. So when I put in my Word installation CD, it didn't work, which is fine because I still have LibreOffice. It doesn't matter what Word format I use because I have this computer, I have my laptop. They all have all the forms of Word that I own. I have a second rig that I'm building, which I explained for the gaming studio, which will have both forms of Microsoft Word on it also, because of the CD drive. And I have enough parts to build 3 more computers. So when I'm done and I'm running, I should have a studio of about 5 computers, not all in this room, because again, I live in the Harry Potter broom closet. So I don't need Word on the tablet, if that makes sense, because as long as I get writing down, I can transfer it to any one of 5 computers. Everyone's really angry now that I have 5 computers, but I spent a lot of money that I shouldn't have spent, and I've been collecting parts, so. Another thing you learned about me, love Supernatural. I love Supernatural too. Oh, I don't know why I never said, that was one of the biggest inspirations behind the Grey Report, because when the show first started, the biggest draw for me was the mythology, and it was Monsters of the Week. That's all it was. Sam and Dean hunting things. It was this week, it's this monster. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a series where nobody had to go, we have to read all the books now. I mean, I would really love it if you did it and read them in order, but I wanted to create it because I do know with the Dresden Files, Some people did not start with the first beginning. A lot of people started with book 6 or book 4 or 5. Some people started with Blood Rights, which is where Harry gets Mouse. And a lot of people, I don't know why, but it's like one of the most famous novels that everyone tells people to go out and read. With the Dresden Files, start with that book. And I wanted to create something like that where someone could pick up the 5th Grave Report novel. There's a little bit of recap in it to explain what's happened, what's going on, and they can just pick it up and read it, and it's a contained novel. And then they'll go like, holy crap, I kind of want to go back and read the older ones. And hopefully they will, and hopefully they won't judge me for being a crappier writer when Grave Beginnings came out. But yeah, everyone dies in Supernatural. I admit I've not seen the last series because I've gotten to the point where Supernatural's gone on so long, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but I miss the Monsters of the Week thing. It's become so much like demons, 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 demons everywhere. Demons now. Demons are our BFFs. Demons are awesome. Demons are everywhere. Demons. Dean's a demon. Sam's a demon. He has no soul. Our best friend's a demon. We're gonna kill demons, and everyone dies in Supernatural. It kind of, I don't know. I liked the fact when they were pulling up, really obscure mythology like a Vorbachester, and I can't say that word, Union archetypes, and they were doing stuff, that you don't see every day. That was cool. And I know they're still gonna do it, and they still do it, but it's become so much, I guess, grandiose ever since they did the whole God arc. And now there's angels, and there's cosmic forces, and they bring in death. It's like when you up the ante in a show, there's only so long before you have to keep outdoing it. Whereas if they kept it Monsters of the Week a little bit longer, the whole cool thing is it's a story about them. It's, character driven, not arc driven, and they can just go keep killing monsters, and you'll keep watching because the subplot between the brothers, the family, Bobby, and all that stuff. I'm not saying it's not good writing, don't get me wrong. The show's only getting bigger and bigger, but when you're a writer, you can kind of see where it's going. They have to keep, upping the ante. They did the thing with God. They did the thing with Dean becoming a demon and the Mark of Cain and everything going demony. And then to stop it and to save Dean, we've got to unbind the darkness, which is where I left off when that ended. And now, like the darkness it hints at is the opposite of God or something. I don't know. I haven't seen the series. Don't spoil the last season for me. I'll watch it eventually. But I can kind of hint at it, and it's like, I can get it. It's the antithesis to God. I guarantee you somehow it's related to God plot twist. I don't know how. Maybe God and the darkness spawned off. Heck, it's Supernatural. They might make them siblings. Sam and Dean are siblings, and they were the hosts for the two what was it? Lucifer. Yeah, Sam's Lucifer's host, and Dean was Michael's host. I could see them making God and the darkness like brother brother or brother sister or whatever. It's really, yeah, once you kill the devil, where do you go? It's that thing, Jim Butcher has talked about this, once you save the world, what do you do after you save the world? You can't save the world again. Oh, yes, you can. Well, that starts to get boring. That's why the Grey Report has a definitive ending through the subplots. But the main series, at the same time, I could technically write these forever. I'm not gonna lie. James Patterson has done it. He's still writing the Alex Cross books because they're individual novels. They have characters show back up. They have subplots that, come back. But the Grey Report is a Monsters of the Week with a subplot. I could write 100 of these and finish up a subplot and do another one. I can do little arcs. I'm not going to do that. This is a 20-book series, give or take. I know where it's going to go. I'm going to not stretch it out. There's one big arc, kind of like when you look at the outline arc, and then there's subplots. There's going to be, this chunk of the arc which starts showing stuff and dealing with it, a bigger chunk, a bigger chunk, a bigger chunk, and then it's done. And then I've got 8 more series in this world, and they're all dealing with different parts of the world, which is what I like. Just like, our lives. There's so much going on in the world right now, and we all ever only see bits and pieces of it, and same with this world. The Books of Winter is going to focus on way more of the paranormal aspects. Yeah, the Grave Report is 20 books. I know I'm only on book 3, but you know what? I'm 26, so I've got time. I've almost got the 3rd done. If I get my butt in gear and stop hopping from project to project, I should be able to get 2 to 3 done a year. Like I said, I just started the 3rd Grave Report novel this month, and I'm already 60K. I'm done, almost done. I'm halfway done. So I should be done by the end of August. Please don't hold me to that because I kind of want days off. But I'm hoping to get to a point where my writing starts making it that I really don't have to worry about other expenses and I can just dedicate more time to writing. And I would like to get 3 books out a year. So by the time I'm like 30 something, I can be done with the Grade Report and move on. I love it, but I want to write other series. I have a 20-book epic fantasy planned. I have a 5-book epic fantasy planned. I have a one-off fantasy. I have a neo-noir series planned that's magic and sci-fi combined. I have a dystopian sci-fi western. I have 3 individual one-off books that I've got for publishers. Yeah, and since everyone's going to bed, I think I'm gonna, I guess, give it 5 more minutes till 12:10 my time. Does anyone want any 5-minute last questions or whatever? A blitz round, I don't care, because then I'm gonna shut this off and let everyone go to bed. I just finished the first book of a trilogy, my very first. I am working on an experimental short story as a breather. That is fantastic. That's what I did to improve between book 1 and book 2 of the Grade Report. I took almost a year break between writing them, which is why the second book came out 2 years later, and I wrote short stories and novellas to improve. Are you worried you ever might burn out? No. I love this. As much as I physically get tired, and the month of July has literally been 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. working, editing the Books of Winter to get it out for betas tomorrow, and writing the third Grade Report novel and writing 2 short stories. It was physically exhausting. I was working 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and I loved it though. I absolutely love it, no regret. I have so many stories, and if I don't write them, I know I'm gonna get really in a bad place. Writing is what saved me from depression. I still battle it, but writing is what makes me happy. I love coming up with the stories. I really do. I don't know what writer said this, but he said the greatest part of writing is coming up with the stories. The worst part is writing them. And that's kind of the truth. But you have to write them because I pants. So if I don't, I will never know how they play out. I absolutely love it, no regret. I have so many Western, you have my attention. Yeah, I have 2 Westerns planned. One is kind of Dark Towery, but if you throw in the World of Destiny, and another Western is horror. Again, perks of being ADHD, I don't stop thinking about this. I actually have, when I come up with ideas, I can show this real quick. The blue sticky notes right there. Those are from today. Just talking to anybody, if I come up with a story idea, I have a sticky notepad by my computer desk because I'm very impulsive ADHD, and I'll grab it and write down a plot bunny, and I will write neo-noir, science, sci-fi, magic system, and then stick it to the wall, and then later I'll pick that back up and put it in a notebook, and I have all these story ideas, and those become commitments. If I remember them long enough to, keep them in my head, then I have to write them because that means they're worth doing to me. Just talking to anybody, if I come I have a sticky notepad. So my pantser works. Actually, while we're here, before we go, since I'm trying to be helpful to people, I should post this link. For those of you who do not know, Brandon Sanderson, most of you know who he is. He is teaching right now. Well, he's been teaching at Brigham University. He's a creative writing instructor there. He learned from New York Times bestselling author David Farland, and now he's teaching in it, following his footsteps. And he's doing an actual session you guys can all follow. It's open to the public. It is hosted by his publisher, and Camera Panda. They record these. I'm putting the link in here, and they have 6 sessions right now. You can actually follow his classes through the semester and learn how to write from best-selling author Brandon Sanderson. And he teaches everything. He covers story format, how to plot, and how to pants. He teaches both. He'll also teach you how to hybrid. There is no reason not to watch this because, again, it's Brandon Sanderson. He knows how to write a story. And like I said, he covers every format. If you're a pantser, you're going to learn a lot. I'm learning a lot. I really did learn a lot how to write the next Grade Report novel from it. He teaches you how to outline. He teaches you how, if you're a pantser, to sort of create a loose pantsing skeleton. Sort of like, I don't create anything. I have it all in my head, but I found out what might help and I might try is just writing key points. The 5 things I know already in my head that I want to hit, and then organizing them. This is here, here, and here. And now I get to make up everything in between, but I know where to hit. Here's the link to that. This is episode 1 that I just posted in the comments. The rest are all linked through the series. You might really want to all check that out. Like I said, he's got 6 episodes right now, and again, you are literally sitting with a recording during his live classes, watching pretty much a living legend author now teach how to write. They're free. Why not? And I've got a couple more minutes left, and most people are popping off. So, does anyone want to ask anything else, or I will call it a night? You might really want to all check that out. Like I said, he's got 6 episodes right now, and again, you are literally sitting with a recording during his live classes, watching pretty much a living legend author now. I love how when I'm about to get off, and how did I start about editing? Oh, crying. Um, 2 days spent uncontrollably sobbing, and then I start editing developmentally. I read line by line, and I don't do line by line copy editing for grammar. I do just line by line, just flow. This sentence sounds clunky, delete, click, and I just remove basic junk as I go by. I'm just rereading the story to myself, like, hate this line, done, gone, no, too long, tighten, and just keep going like that. Plot hole, make a note real quick, go back up a few pages, fix the plot hole, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Literally, that's it. I do not touch grammar unless it's obvious if I see a typo. Mostly I'm going, I try to focus really as an author for literary style. That's my strong suit. I'm trying to create my own very strong voice. How do I stay sane? I'm a writer. I don't think I was ever sane. You have to be insane in this line of work, I think, and I think that's a good thing. This is a world with a lot of delusion. Not many people are willing to commit themselves to a life where you're creating art, spending months and months and months for a book, and you're not paid all that time. And when the book comes out, maybe if you're lucky and you have a really good launch, you'll make a couple $100. Most authors don't even make $30 their first year. Nobody values it. You know, people are more willing to spend $5 every day on Starbucks than they are one time on your $3.99 ebook novel, or even like $15 on your paperback that they'll own for life. There's never any written guarantee that you will ever make it and make a living. At the same time, you have to be delusional to believe you can do it, because every author I've talked to, the ones who stay delusional, always make it. It really is a time game. And this sounds, I hope not arrogant saying this, but I'm not famous or anything. However, I have been, now published for about 3 years, and I'm starting to see the payoff. I'm not making a living, but I'm actually making an income now close to a part-time job. I never thought that was possible. I'm making more with 2 books than some authors are making with 5. I'm very fortunate to be doing really well, and I technically qualify as a mid-lister with only 2 novels out. That's really not common, and it's not a lot. But if I quit, that's the most it'll ever be. Die out. But if I keep going, it might jump up to, high tier mid-lister, and if I keep it up, I might be making a livable income. For everyone who was in the author group earlier, if you scroll down, there were about 4 to 5 authors who showed up today who are not famous. But you know what? They're making a full-time living. They do not have to work another job. This is their life. They get to read, write, and go to conventions. They're living the dream. Maybe they're not New York Times bestsellers, but they're living it. And, give them 5 more years, they very well might be New York Times bestsellers that we all know. So it's, I don't think sanity is part of it. I don't think you need to be. I think, in fact, it's the best thing to be is insane, because what sane person does this? Ask anybody to go work 9 months for the first finished project and tell them they won't get paid doing it, and they have to work another job, and that nobody's going to understand it, and that they're going to literally bleed and make an art, and not everyone's going to like it. So and nobody's going to do that. That's why the whole world doesn't. And our society is, you go to school, you go to college, you get a 9-to-5 job, and you're secure. And then, you have economic crashes. I worked an hourly job with guys with master's degrees. they couldn't get a job, and that just reinforced it. Like, well, I mean, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, and then maybe get let go and work a job I already hate. I'm I am poor, but you know what? I like this, and I'm starting to make money. And if you're in the NaNoWriMo group, there are authors in there who make a living. Jeffrey Cook is doing it. Ben S. Reader is making a full living. He just writes. He travels to conventions. Alex P. Berg is making a full living and supporting his family and kids just from writing. He travels and does conventions, and uh, I met him at a writing seminar. Like, there are literally authors that you guys have all met today who have done it, and they did it just like us. They just keep putting the next book out there. It takes time, but it does build up. My first book just hit 200 reviews. I never thought that's possible. I sold like 30 paperbacks this month. That's not a lot, but that's more than some authors sell their first few years altogether. It takes time, but I'm gonna say this 100%. It's absolutely doable, and everybody in this chat and in this group can absolutely do it. Even though there's no guarantee saying you will, there's no guarantee saying you can't. That's the absolute truth. Jim Butcher said it. The only person that can kill your dream is you. You can literally keep going. Speaking of him, he's New York Times bestseller every time, #1. He wasn't making a living till his 6th book. So think about that. He said to work a job. He wrote the first 2, the Dresden Files. He had a cult following, going to cons, and he still wasn't earning a living. 4th book came out 5th, 6th, and then he released the Codex of Alera, which I think it was the advance from that, or then the sales that helped him make a living. I don't know exactly, but he had a second series out. So technically 6 to 7 books, and that's when he did it. But he just started making a living. Then he could write full time. Now he's the author of 15 in the Dresden Files, 5 Codex of Alera. He's written 1 or 2 Spider-Man novels. He's written on his own Dresden Files comics, and he just released Cinder Spires. And Peace Talks is coming out. The Dresden Files. So what's that, like 25 pieces of literary stuff, and now he's a New York Times bestseller. Stephen King puts out 4 a year, 4 to 5. The greatest thing about being an author, though, is that there's no limit. Yeah, it's hard. You don't get paid a lot at first, but guess what? After 10 years, you have a backlist, and you get paid for work you did 10 years ago. You don't have the job security like other people, but once you build a fan base, no one can let you go. Find me someone who gets paid for work they did 10 years ago. No one. If you get a degree, I'm not saying you can't be successful. Don't get me wrong. You absolutely can be. You love it. My mentor is literally Tony Stark. I'm very blessed. He's an absolute genius. Mechanical engineering degree, but he's also super creative. He never had to sacrifice. He's the coolest guy in the world, and my hero, even higher than my author heroes. But I can never be like that because I'm different. For me, I'm not good at that kind of thinking. So this is the way for me. And the cool thing is, we both can have the lives we want. He has an amazing life, and he did it through college and being intelligent and being this really cool, smart person. I'm not smart, but I get to do it through art. I just have to put in the same amount of work. But the cool thing is, he has, no limits to what he can do because he's the boss and the creator of it. And that's what this really gets back to is, he works a lot of hours, but he's not a 9 to 5 employee. He created something. He made his company. He still makes, you get to see it. He makes these glasses. He makes so much cool stuff. He literally is always engineering stuff out of like nothing. And I think that's what this whole thing comes back to, like the whole being insane. It's just being creative and understanding that it's okay. You're not going to make sense to yourself and other people, and embracing it, because that's how you're going to get, big. Because with a degree, you can get a job, work 9 to 5, and get a salary. With a writing career or in the arts, there's no guarantee you can make it. There's no guarantee you can't, and there's no set pay limit. There isn't. You'd be surprised when some of you get to your 15th novel. Maybe you're making 60K. Maybe you're making 600,000. You don't know, and that's the cool thing. There's no cap saying once you've hit 10 books, you're only going to earn this much. Look at Stephen King. He makes about $50 million a year. That's because of his backlist. There's 7 billion people in the world. New people are always being born. They're growing up. They're reaching a certain age. They're going to keep reading your books. So yeah, books are really the things we dream and all of our like. Oh wow, somebody just said that. Yeah, books are our delusions on print. Yeah, this went a little bit extra longer. I think I'm gonna cut this off because I'm kind of afraid people will keep watching if I keep staying, and I don't want to do that to people. And I'm still gonna wake up tomorrow at 8, meaning I'm gonna get like 6 hours worth of sleep. So I guess I will be the one to cut this off as soon as I figure out how to. Oh right, stop streaming. Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been fantastic. I'm gonna go pass out now. And I hope everyone enjoyed the event. Good night.